Well. Hello, everyone. Look what the cat dragged in. In my case, my cat dragged a big ass piece of poop in my living room. So that was a lovely surprise. And the thing is, because I have chronic allergies or whatever it is that I have, my sense of smell is never the best. Okay, so I have no idea how long it's been there. Actually, I guess I do have an idea. It was sometime between end of last night's stream and today's stream, because basically as I was getting ready to start streaming, I went over to turn on one of the lights, and right next to that light stand or whatever was my gift from my cats. I don't know which one of my cats did it. It is what it is, you know? It's almost like it takes me back to how my Asian parents disciplined me, mostly my mom. But in an Asian household, it doesn't matter how many siblings. I have one sibling. If we got into an argument, if we get into a fight, if there's a moment where one of us should be punished because we did something wrong, both of us get punished. It became a thing of like, it doesn't matter who started it, you both are getting the stick. So, not that I would punish both my cats or anything. Unfortunately, they're too adorable, and I you know, what can you do? But anyways, welcome everyone to day 130. I think it's 132. Yes, 132. Fedorevsky's already here in the chat. Thank you very much. Fedorevsky says, howdy back at you. Thanks for being here. Happy Thursday. And hopefully the weather's not too bad. I never know, but I'm assuming if you're in Norway, it must always be cold. It must always be like either a degrees of less cold or like less frigid and more frigid. I'm assuming is the spectrum you're on. But thank you for tuning in. Thanks for enjoying the stream. We are streaming as usual on YouTube, Twitch, and Kick. Yeah. And then I'll probably kick up the TikTok one as well later as usual. But usually I've been testing out the TikTok later because if I watch YouTube videos or if I have music playing, sometimes it seems like it gets caught in the copyright system. So never fun to deal with. Oh, we got both my cats are hanging out here. Look at this adorable one. I don't know which one of these guys shat near my light in the living room. One of these guys are well, it has to be one of these guys unless it was me all along. But listen, my shit is not that small. All right, we do the big ones. Here's Nala. Anyways, welcome, guys. Let me say hi to Nala. And Kimbap is a bit too far for me to reach, but you know, it is what it is. Fed says it's not especially cold. Lots of rain. Okay. Man, that's kind of the worst if it's raining. So you're saying rain as in not snowing, right? Because that is where I guess where I'll distinguish or delineate. I love photographing or filming or just being in the snow. Rain is like a slightly different thing. That's more of a it depends on the situation type thing. But anyways, well, enjoy the cold. It is getting super hot here in Dubai already. It's like insanely hot. Actually, let me see. What is the temperature in Dubai? Well, right now it's 72 degrees, but it is past sunset. But how do I see? Okay, maybe I'm complaining. Maybe I'm just a little baby back biatch. Okay, I guess it isn't that bad right now. It's saying 75 degrees Fahrenheit or 22 degrees Celsius as of now, which is actually perfect. I swear in the daytime it was much hotter, but Google search is not helping my cause here. Daytor, Guten Abend. Sometimes I hate rainy days. I never hate rainy days. It's just like being out in the rain can just be so crazy cold, right? Like, isn't there something? Actually, I guess Fed, you would know best since you live in the snowy environment and all that. My understanding is like if it's snowing, it usually is a good sign in the sense that when it gets so cold, it doesn't snow as much. Am I making that up? I thought it was something where it's like if it's snowing, usually that means the weather tends to be a little bit on the warmer side of things. And then the worst is if there's no snow and then you hit like those crazy winds and like wind chills and whatever. And then same thing with rain. I feel like if it's raining, the moment you get drenched, it's so quick that you'll start freezing your ass off. Whereas like I feel like I'm comfortable if it's like a blizzard. I think I can just sit on my ass during a blizzard and feel okay. But this is also probably hubris and my lack of experience in the snow. So Fed says, yeah, probably not getting more snow now. I think it's over. I'm down south by the west coast. It doesn't get very cold here. Got to go up in the mountains for real cold here. Gotcha. I would love to go back to Norway for the musk ox. I think that would be fun to photograph. I got to capture one musk ox on my older camera, but it wasn't the best photo. It wasn't the best attempt. I didn't know what I was doing. But it would be kind of cool to go back, especially in the winter time, because I imagine the musk ox in the winter is like US photographers shooting the bison in like Yellowstone in the snow, where it's all just like that very, very mesmerizing style of shot. So I would like to do both. Daytor says it's actually 14 degrees and sunny. Oh, well, I guess I can't complain. Like I said, Dubai right now, technically it is 22 degrees. So anyways, so besides what else has happened? So yeah, I had a piece of poop waiting for me before the stream. So now I am fully mentally recovered from that wonderful surprise, thanks to one of my cats. Now we're ready to hopefully get into it. Oh, I forgot to take my drug. Let me just grab that drug real quick. Give me a second. Oh, Yami's here. All right, I just got wait, no, sorry. Yami's not here. I hate this freaking OBS thing. Can I clear my message? I have this little chat box inside of OBS from Atom, AITOM, and it has like a multi-chat unified view, but it saves all these messages from like multiple streams ago, and when one of you guys message, sometimes it hops the chat all the way to the top. How the freak do I clear it? No. Okay, no, I did the right thing. I didn't do the wrong thing. Hold on. Can I clear my messages? Clear chat on startup. Okay, next time I'll hit that. God, because it's so annoying. Sorry, guys. We are booming our way through this stream. Ayo is in the chat. Hello. Ayo Avero. Give me a second as I'm trying to figure out how to fix this. Come on. You can do this, Yobel. There you go. Ayo says, what's up, Yobel? How's your day? My day's going well. It is 7:30, almost 7:40 p.m. Fed says, down here it snows mostly when it's around 0 to -2. That's when I need to visit. If it's colder, it's usually nice and might be sunny. Ayo, hopefully you're doing well. Hopefully you're having a good day. I forget where in the world you are based. I feel like we have a decent... Within this community that we've built up in the past 6-7 months, I feel like we have a decent mix, demographically speaking, of people in parts of Europe and then in the US and Canada, I guess, as well. We don't have as much in Asia, but I think that's more a symptom of the time zones. But yeah. Too hot for end of February in northern Germany. Okay. Snow is actually rare here. We get more ice. You get more ice than snow. What is like? Are you talking about like hail? It's 10:36 here. Let me guess. If it is 10:36 over your time, 10:36 a.m., that must mean you're in the East Coast, right? I think, because usually there's like depending on the whole daylight savings times ordeal. Usually it's like a 12-hour. Like it's an exact 12-hour difference between Pacific time and Dubai time, which makes it easy for me to remember. And then New York is obviously a few hours ahead. So welcome from the East Coast, Ayo Avero. All right. There's a few. Oh yeah, let me just BRB for 10 seconds. I want to grab, what is it? The mystery pill that my mom dropped off for me when she visited me. I think it does the job, or I haven't died from it, so it must be okay. Give me a second. Let me go grab one. And you know what? Because I don't get to use this thing too often, I will hit the BRB scene. Enjoy whatever video pops up. Okay, we got our pill. I got my little sparkling soda thing mixed with cranberry juice. No. Pomegranate juice. Solving life's problems one drug at a time. The temperature will often fluctuate between 1 degree and -1 during the day, so you get rain and then it freezes, so ice everywhere. Ooh, actually that sounds miserable. So, okay, things could be worse is what you're telling me. All right, well, welcome guys to another stream. We're going to do a bit of that video editing and some photo editing maybe. And then I didn't know if I want to start today's stream there's a few tasks I have to do as I prepare for some of my upcoming trips. So I need to kind of review what is my gear list, like what's in my bag, right? So I need to double check what are all the gear that I have, and I need to identify some things that might be missing that I need to purchase now before it's too late in preparation for these trips. And so that's one thing. I figured I could do it on stream as well. Maybe it's of interest to you guys to see what all the gear that I have at home, what do I need to purchase? Who knows? It could be of interest. And then secondarily, I need to also map out all of the stuff for my IRL live streaming kit. So there's a little bit overlap, but I just want to start visually mapping out everything that I have, everything I'm missing, and then so that way I can start to make sure I don't drop the ball. Because the next few months is going to be pretty crazy for me, I guess. Hopefully for all of you guys in a good way. But I mentioned before, unless something randomly happens, it looks like I will be going on a number of trips back to back. And some of them are, all of them are very exciting. And all of them require a decent amount of travel gear that I need to pack up. And there's a chance that I'm going from one country to the next, basically without ever hopping back home. So I might go from one project to the next project, and they're in different countries. So it's just like I'm right now behind the scenes, guys. I'm like juggling a bunch of these project balls, okay? And I'm not the master of handling balls. It is what it is. So I just gotta visualize the balls and me handling them. Okay, anyways, we're done with that metaphor. AO says, Fed asked, what was that video? Oh, in the BRB scene, I only briefly caught it because obviously I went away from the desk. I believe it was from my Uganda travel vlog episode. I think it was the chimpanzee episode. So if you ever have the time and you're bored and you want to see some of the videos I've published so far, it's not too many, right, in terms of my travel vlogs. But with Uganda, I did break it into a day by day. And one of those days I went and did my first chimpanzee trek. And before that trek, I did like a more casual, there's like a swamp. I think it's called Bigodi Swamp. So you just do like a leisurely walk through this forested area. And it's like kind of like a conservation, or the locals there maintain it. And it's one of the most diverse in terms of the wildlife, like the monkey species and the birds and all that. So yeah, just did a casual stroll through the swamp and then photographed a few monkeys here and there. So that might be the one you're talking about, I think. But yeah. AO said, oh yeah, I made an intro for my project in English and I sent it on the videos. Let me know how it goes. Oh, you mean in the Discord? Ooh, thank you. I always do like when people hop into the Discord. Give me a second. I'm trying to make an intro for my group project. Tell me if this is good because I kind of rushed it. All right. Yo, thank you for thank you for sharing. Let's go ahead and check it out. You're giving us some content for the stream. Ooh. Now, is there music in this video? I'm assuming, and will it get me in trouble? Fed says I'll be in Spain for 4 weeks when you're traveling, I think. Oh yeah, that's right. I know you've been prepping for the Spain trip. Yeah, because I'll be basically from middle of March and potentially from middle of March until end of April, I may be on, I think I'm back to maybe 5 trips. Back to back to back to back to back to back. I might okay, I might have 6 trips lined up consecutively, which I'm not complaining about because these are all opportunities for me, so I'm obviously very excited if they all pan out. But yeah, it's in Discord. Oh yeah, so I got the video ready to go. Fed says, I love that point of view stuff, walking in the jungle. Oh, thanks, man. Oh, you know what? Look, we're just gonna have a casual, as usual. I kind of like it this way. We're gonna slowly roll ourselves into today's stream by watching some videos. So we're gonna watch Ayo Avero's video and we'll critique it nicely. Whatever, I have no idea what the video is about, but obviously we'll watch it and give you our thoughts. Actually, we'll do that first because you said it's kind of short, like 15 seconds. Oh, okay. I thought it was a longer video, so yeah, let's do that first. And then let me just line up. Dun, 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 dun. Where is it? I think it's this one. Chimpanzee Trek Finale. Okay, let me line up a few of these videos for us to enjoy. And then let's get to YouTube projects, Mongolia. Oh, here we go. And let's open up Ayo's video over here. And then Fed's asking, was that the Osmo Pocket 3 point of view? I don't think so. For this, at this point in my travel documentation, I believe I was only shooting with the iPhone plus my cameras. Let me double check. We're gonna open up in a second. I will be in Spain from March 21st until end of April. Oh yeah, so Fed, basically I guess we'll both be doing our own travels to the different parts of the world. How cool is that? And then we're gonna basically come back from our trips and collectively we can, you know, see all the wonderful footage. I cannot wait to see the ZR city, what would you call that type of shooting, but capturing all the like the city life with the slow, you know, ZR feel. I think that's gonna be fantastic to watch. All right, can we switch gears now? Yes, this is a video from Ayo Avero. What'd you say this is about, Ayo? Hold on, let me just read your message again. You made an intro for your project in English and I sent it on the videos. Okay. I guess worst case, I can always mute the audio part of the stream here. Man, I like it. I don't really have any... I don't have much, like, I don't know, critiques, I guess. Let me see how long it is. So it's about 13 seconds, let's say. I think this is great, man. Or it feels very... I like the amount of motion here. So it does kind of grab the attention. The music, I guess the music just depends on what exactly it is that you're introducing. It's got a bit of a dramatic tone to it, I guess, or ominous tone. So that could be one thing. I don't know if that's a good or bad thing, right? So it's just more of a... Depends the mood that you're trying to convey before you kick off the project. So maybe keep that one little thing in mind with the soundtrack choice. It gives off this more... I think it's in like a minor key. I don't know my music terms too well anymore, but it's like in a minor key and it's got, especially with that droning bass that kind of kicks off, it's got a very deep and ominous tone to it. So then just keep that in mind if it fits or not. But it's also neutral enough in the sense that there's no crazy, you know, it's like a nice tone, like an ambient sound throughout. So it doesn't like take away from, it doesn't like dominate, I guess is the key thing. So that works as well. In terms of this action motion thing here, I like the welcome sliding in. So we got pure black. Welcome comes in. Group 5. And then I guess now I'm going to get into the nitpicking territory, just in the sense of like, I don't think anyone actually cares to this extent or not, but I'm curious, when you say welcome and then group 5, are you welcoming group 5 or are you saying welcome, this is group 5, right? Like, are you saying introducing group 5, blah, blah, blah? Or are you saying, hey, group 5, you are the audience and we're welcoming you to this video? I don't think it actually matters that much, to be honest. This is like I said, I warned, I'm getting into nitpicking territory where it really doesn't matter. But these are the thoughts that pop in my head, okay? So you got to live with it. I'm doing this for the first time. Well, that's even more impressive then, because this is really clean. I could see stuff like this being used for like the beginning of YouTube videos or presentations. Ayo says, that's very nice. My next trip is trip to the bed. Hells yeah. That's always the best one, as long as it's for free. Yeah, we're coming back with lots of footage. I just bought some more CF Express Type B cards. Oh my God, Fed. Listen. I asked my friend to take a guess how much this cost. Okay? It is the Pro Grade. As of now, I'm still a big fan of Pro Grade until someone convinces me otherwise or one of them breaks. It was a 2-pack of 2 terabytes per card. And I asked my friend to kind of take a guess how much she thought I spent on this. And I think she guessed it was either $100 or $500 because she said it in dirhams and now it's like all jumbled up in my head. And the reality is this costs like, I don't even want to say it on stream because it's just horrifically expensive. But anyways, yeah, so I feel your pain, Fed. The music is based on Euphoria by Cadella. I like the song. So I like the song. I like the moodiness of it. Just sometimes, if you're sending this for like a corporate event or like a corporate presentation, then maybe that soundtrack could be setting the stage in the wrong way where it might, for what music is weird, right? The way it can have an impact on us in like subtle ways that we don't even realize. So if you set the scene with something very negative, I say negative, but like ominous kind of has a negative connotation. Minor key tends to have like an ominous negative connotation. So then if you start with that, it could, what's the word I'm looking for? It could influence, there's a word for this, but you might be setting this up in their minds in a negative sense. But this is me also hypotheticalizing. I'm making up words today, okay? Group 5 is my group. Basically, the sliding J3A and presenting were first before the Group 5 existed. Okay, let me rewatch that in a second. For the music, if you were to play, I would not recommend to play it, I think. Maybe like 30 seconds of it, but not the song fully. It's okay. Worst case, I'm just going to mute the audio. That is a possibility on the live stream afterwards if I get hit with something. Fed says, I managed to find some cards they had left at the old price. Hopefully, they'll be okay quality. They look a bit cheaper. Plastic, maybe. Got it. Well, for me, I was willing to spend the money that I was because these are not my projects. Or there's a couple trips where the footage that I'm capturing is not just for me. It's for like a project that I'm a part of. So I do feel like I need to make sure I have the proper gear because I'm not responsible just for my content for this. It's for others. So yeah. All right, so when I look at this again, I like this little, what do you call this? I don't know what you call this, but that like bouncing transition. So it kind of comes in up and then drops down and switches. Again, if I'm nitpicking, it would just be like, are you able to have that switch happen such that this J3A never shows up below the line? So in my mind, visually, I imagine it should be like, even from the start of it here, that J3A shouldn't ever cross the horizontal line. So it could either feel like right here, the top half of this is appearing, but anything below the white line, it's almost like imagine there's a black box that you overlay on top so that the J3A never is visible until it shows up above the white line. And then same thing on the reverse side. As it comes back down, it should never show up below. If that's easy enough to do, or if that's, I don't know. I don't know how to do this, right? So this is easy for me to say. The crude way I think of it is like literally just putting a black box, like a rectangle, and put that in the front layer So it's like it's showing above everything else since the background is black anyways. So if you could somehow squeeze in a black rectangle and just position it just under this white line. So then when that J3A pops up, it'll be underneath the black rectangle, and then it only shows up as it crosses the white line. And then if yeah, it's okay, it's okay. And then yeah, and then the present should then appear right here as is. So the presents is fine. Goes all the way to the bottom and then just stays. The same thing, yeah, just like when it goes up to here, just if feeling like it should never cross that border. But like I said, take everything I say. Just know that I'm being super nitpicky now because I can. And that tends to be my nature. I am very like, and I say this, you know what, I can say it proudly. I think I am fairly detail oriented. I noticed because I just finished the final season of Fargo. There's Fargo season 5. And I remember, yo, what's happening? We got Skull Bazaar in the chat yet again. Thank you very much. Over on the Kick site, thank you. You are my loyal Kick streamer, Kick viewer. And also thank you on the Twitch. Ayo says, for that, I need to learn that. Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't know how to do that. So like I said, my suggestion is a very crude one. I'm sure there's a better way to do it. I rushed it a bit because I could find any perfect space seconds of placing and where it appears next second. Gotcha. Gave me quite an idea. Yeah, well, if I can help, I can help. Oh yeah, so I was saying there's an episode of Fargo where there's a whole action scene. There's a whole scene that takes place inside of a hospital. And there's a moment where the main character is trying to quickly get to the elevator before the bad guys see her. And then as the bad guys are, she gets inside the elevator and then she's hitting the button to go to the 3rd floor and she's just, mashing the button and then the bad guys are coming closer and closer and the door is closing. Boom, door closes, she's fine. And then like a few seconds later or the next scene, you see another character out in the parking lot. And he notices something which then rings a, like red flag in his mind. So he gets out of his truck and then rushes over to the, the front door of the hospital. And so they pan over for his shot as he leaves the truck and goes to the hospital. They have one of those overhead camera shots to show you the full parking lot, and it zooms out a bit so you can see he's rushing over to the front of the hospital. And when you see the building of the hospital, it's only one floor. It's like a 1-story building. And so anyways, it bothered me so much that I had to Google it afterwards and be like, explain this to me. So anyways, the whole point of me saying that is like, I tend to be very detail oriented, above average, to the point where even in my corporate job, I had people who would ask me to proofread and double check the final drafts of everything because they knew I tended to catch most of these random things. So I can proudly say, I guess, in some ways, I'm a bit detail oriented. Ayo says I have like 4 more days to refresh it and make the whole video. Nice. Like I said, everything I said, you don't really need to pay attention to me because I think this does the job, right? And that's one of the things I struggle with. You guys are all privy to that, watching me work on my Mongolia video. There are certain things that are worth the time and other things that are absolutely not. So it's always just a question of like, what is the intent of what you're producing, and what is like considered acceptable and what is outstanding. And if it's outstanding, does that get you anything besides just personal pride? And if it's just personal pride, then it's a good question you need to have with yourself, whether it's worth the effort truly. Especially if this is a group project where you have other people relying on you, or it's like, whatever. And so if you're not being graded on these little tiny points that I'm pointing out, I think this does the job. I think it's great. Welcome, Group 5, J3A presents. Boom. What is J3A? Because if you're saying you're Group 5, if J3A is the bigger school or like the whatever class that you're a part of, and then you're Group 5 of J3A, then I feel like it makes more sense to say welcome J3A, because now you're like welcoming everyone who's watching this presentation. And then where the J3A is, that should maybe be where it says Group 5 presents. You know what I mean? So it's like welcome J3A, Group 5 presents, and then the intro ends and you're presenting whatever it is. So without knowing what J3A is, that would be another quick little suggestion. Otherwise, I like the motion. It's fairly minimal, so it's not too crazy, but it's got enough to keep the eyes distracted, and then it disappears. And then the other question, I guess, would be how long should intros be? So here we're looking at roughly like 14 seconds. I would probably say this is like the maximum. I imagine an intro should be like anywhere from like 8 to 15 seconds maybe. So you're inside the realm there, I guess. Just you probably don't need the last few seconds here. And if you need to remove this alight motion, actually I don't know how to do that because you got this line cutting through the whole time. But yeah, man, good stuff. Oh, and then the last thing, but I think it's just because you sent me a lower res version. But yeah, you can see like the resolution on the font. It's a bit low, but that could just be the, you sent me a smaller file. There you go. Thank you very much. Thanks for sharing. Hopefully we were able to provide some level of insight. Fed says meticulous, precise, thorough, methodical, accurate, diligent, conscientious, exacting, careful, rigorous, attentive, observant, scrupulous, fastidious, systematic, analytical. I am all of those things except for conscientious. I don't know how that word fits into the rest of them, I guess. That's the one that kind of sticks out to me of like, really? If someone is conscientious. Oh, okay. Maybe I'm viewing that word from like a moral, like an ethic, like a moralistic standpoint, I guess. But maybe it means just like you're conscious. No. Hold on. Yeah, so that's a lot. That's one of the words I'm locked in on right now. What's happening? We got Elthing in the chat. Elthing says, I love how I just love being financially responsible. Do I love that? I love it, but it rarely happens in my life. So yeah, maybe that's why I love it. It's meaningful when I have that moment where like, wow, I was being financially responsible. Like I said, I just spent a crazy amount of money for two terabyte pro grade CF Express Type B memory cards. So, oh my God, that was way too much money. Elthing says, bought a cinema camera. I'm not even doing video yet. Okay, well, that is, you got me beat there. What's happening? We got King Kruk in the chat. Yobel dropping some gems. You know what? Sorry, when I hear that word dropping some gems, I had my own little trauma right before the stream because sorry. Forget I said my mom. I meant my cat took a shit in my living room, which is quite a different story than my misspeak. My cat took a shit in the living room. So when I hear the word dropping some gems, that's visually all I could think of was one of these pesky people doing that. It was only $355 for unlimited record time and XLR input. Nice, nice. Skull says completely different story. Yes, yes. I did not mean to insert that visual into your guys' minds. Very briefly, because Fedorevsky, thank you again for asking. Fed was asking because when I did my BRB scene just earlier, you were asking about which video or where this came from, that one clip that I was playing. I'm pretty sure it's from this video called Chimpanzee Trek Finale in Uganda's Kibale Forest, episode 7 of my Uganda series. This was my final episode before I made my kind of comprehensive one. So I'm going to play this out just for shits and giggles. You know, it's been a while since I've actually seen this. Because this is before I started live streaming. So here we go. In our final Uganda adventure, we say goodbye to the lions of Queen Elizabeth before trekking deep within Kibale National Park for our epic showdown with the great apes of this forest, the chimpanzee. And this is my first trailer I ever made for like a YouTube, like a travel series. Also, this is one of the first trips where I had someone actually get video of me on the trip, which was very helpful. Uganda episode 7, Jungle Whispers, something Trek in Kabali. Welcome to the final chapter of our Uganda adventure. And I think I was using the beacon mic for this. Yo, what's happening? We got BC in the chat as well. Thank you guys for being here. And gambling right off the bat. Man, ever since I took off that ceiling, or the cap on the gambling, it looks like, I don't know, will you hit that 1 milli mark? We don't know. I'm going to gamble it all as well. Daytor says, cool trailer. Thank you very much. I was very proud of it. I was very, very proud of it. When I was putting this travel vlog series together, this is, mind you, before this Uganda travel vlog series, I had never made a travel vlog. So the question became, do I just make one video, like a 30-minute video that just combines the entire Uganda trip? And then, that was like a thought process. And then I landed on just making it into a series for two reasons. One is a bit more artistic reason, I guess, and the other is a more practical reason. The practical reason was I need YouTube content. So I was like, I might as well split up. If I have good content, I might as well split it up so that it can turn into more videos that I could publish, as opposed to if I blow my load and put all of this into one video, well then, you have to really do a good job with it. Otherwise, no one's going to watch it. And the other assumption there was that I thought maybe a vlog episode should be around like 10 to 15 minutes or under 20 minutes. I didn't know. And then the second reason was like artistically, or like I guess personally, if I did more of these episodes separately, it would help me find different themes with each episode. And it would just mean I have more time to learn video editing and all that kind of stuff. Skull says, rigged. Did I win? I won. All right, I accept. If you've been following along, thank you for sharing this journey with me. If you're just joining us, I hope you'll stay till the end. And if you end up enjoying this video and want to support my channel, please hit the like, subscribe, and alert bell before you go. I appreciate it. I'm just assuming that I'm not going to get hit with copyright strikes on my own video. But yeah. Our morning was seemingly cut short by heavy rain, but we were hot on the trail of a lion couple spotted hunting in the area the previous evening. And our persistence paid off as they emerged from hiding to relax on the plains before, spoiler alert, they chose to come over and say hello. Here are those moments. Oh yeah, so to Fed's question from earlier, I shot that with an iPhone. The scene that we'll see later, I definitely did not have an Osmo Pocket at this point. And this is in Queen Elizabeth National Park in Uganda. BC says hippo. Yes, man, hippos are badass. And fat ass too. Bad fat ass or fat badass? And this was shot with the Nikon Z9 with the 400 2.8 lens. Also, you know what? I need to make a note to myself. I just need to commit to only shooting in landscape. Back here, I was still kind of mixed. I was like halfway in between, like, do I still shoot vertical for all the Instagram reels and the shorts, or do I do landscape? Now I think I just need to commit always to landscape. King says, hippos are ready for the smoke. Yeah, in and out of the water. Yeah, man. Moo dang, And this was a really cool encounter because this is the last day in Queen Elizabeth, and it was like pouring rain, but my driver, we were feeling lucky, and we just kept racing in the rain, hoping, because we'd heard that there was a lion kill in the evening before, and so we were hoping to find it, and we were the only ones that found it for like the longest time. In the game of luck, sometimes you lose. So it was like just the two of us plus the lion, the couple. and we got to just hang out with them. It just finished raining, so everything was nice, and like in terms of lighting and the wetness of the fur and the grass, everything was just like fun.
Sometimes you win, and sometimes you win bigly. Today was one of those jackpot days. You're about to see one of the most thrilling moments I've ever experienced in the wild. An encounter so close, I could have reached out and petted them as if they were my own cats. But my mama taught me to keep my hands to myself, and wisdom prevailed this day. With that in mind, let's dive into this unforgettable moments together.
And look at all the Jeeps that finally showed up. And then this moment here, I eventually turned into like a Instagram reel. Man, you guys don't realize how massive lions are until they walk past you in your Jeep and you realize they could just like, if they wanted to, they could just pop their head through the window without really standing or anything. They're freaking, and their heads are insanely big. I was like, oh my God. Literally, I could have just like reached through the window if I wanted to, and I could have just started petting this dude. Not that I would, I could. I think I originally shot this in vertical mode, and this is me after I like zoomed in. Yeah, so I cropped it in for that part and then brought it back here. See, now as I look at this is where I feel like having the ZR would have been so nice. Because like the Z9 is, it's a much bulkier camera. So like trying to fit it through the opening in the window was a little bit nerve wracking. Whereas with that ZR, it was like easy. Oh, one thing you'll never hear about, nobody ever shares this part of like wildlife experiences or even just like wildlife captures. There is no, I'm trying to think where, except for maybe in like the winter areas like polar bears and stuff. But in all of these types of wildlife experiences, you are always going to have to capture flies everywhere. So like trying to get a clean shot of a lion without any flies on them is like almost impossible. Flies are just, they are the king of the jungle, honestly.
In a show of bravery I will never possess, a few locals chose to pave their own path in light of the traffic jam caused by us tourists and a couple of lions. Did I mention the part about a couple of lions in the way?
This is always
Well,
forever
that
just
didn't
going to be
seem
the
to
most
faze any of them.
insane.
But I will say the biggest cojones award, it actually goes to these two brave souls who strolled right past the king and queen of the jungle as if challenging them for the throne.
That was insane to me. That like these dudes are on foot. These dudes are on foot. I guess that's the right way to say it, right? But it should be these dudes are on feet. Nah. These dudes are on foot walking, you know, like dangerously close to where there's two sleeping lions. And I'm just like, my God.
Now, thankfully, no such battle occurred this day, but shout out to those two for collectively raising the heart rates of all of us tourists that were there. Another shout out goes to our safari jeep. It battled its way across the toughest and muddiest terrains to deliver us the wildest encounters.
Okay, I didn't want to watch
Was
the
a
whole
walking
thing,
encyclopedia.
but let's see.
Yeah, they wait.
Oh, in the Bigodi swamp, yeah? Okay, okay.
Birds, you should.
Park.
Put it on the money, promote tourism.
Well,
That's how it appears here.
thank you for sharing that.
And the tree is called the Regota Meldbrudeya, one of the hardest trees we have in Uganda. And the English call it African witch tree. Congratulations!
This is definitely a cool moment. Like I said, I do enjoy capturing like the people moments. Almost as, I don't know. I won't say equally as much as wildlife, because wildlife is just insane, right? But it is definitely, this is an equally important part though, for me to learn how to capture and all that kind of stuff. Okay, so finally, Bigodi Swamp. So this is what Fed was asking me about.
Of the monkeys, especially the red corpus monkey, black and white.
So this is just with the simple iPhone shot here, so you can see it's more like in that HDR mode.
Velvet monkey, among others.
But then the shot you were asking about, Fed, in the swamp, that was in the Apple log with the black magic on the iPhone. So this is Apple log 10-bit, I'm assuming, just on my phone. Which is like noticeably better than shooting in the normal iPhone mode, but it still has a limitation in terms of like how much color and, you know, how pretty you can make it look. And some of these are just typical iPhone shots. And then this is where I switch over into the Nikon Z9, I believe. I'm assuming this is with the Nikon Z9 and the 70-200. Oh, by the way, I did reach out. I did reach out to my contact at Nikon. So, yeah, I let them know. I was like, hey, what's happening? Hello, my friends. I heard you guys got a new lens, a 70-200. What say you? You think I could get my hands on it? So they were very open about it. So it just depends on the timing, because they're still trying to, you know, figure it all out. You know, obviously the announcement just came out, so I am way down the totem pole of like priorities and importance for what they need to take care of. But I did throw my hat in the ring. And I was like, yo, I have a few trips coming up in the next few months where the 70-200 lens would be perfect. It is ideal for the gorillas and the chimpanzees. So if I could test it out, you know, and then Nikon ends up with some really good footage that they can use for marketing and stuff, a win-win, some would say. So we'll see. Looks pretty good for iPhone. Movement is weird as always is on phones, but image looks pretty good with the Blackmagic app, all considering. Yeah, with the Blackmagic app, it's been a while since I used it, but I know they even have functionalities where you can stabilize the footage quite a bit, where it's even got that bit of like a delay effect. So when you move the camera left and right, it kind of feels like it's I don't know how to describe it, but it's swaying as opposed to jerking around. So yeah, the footage ends up being pretty decent. It's just, to me, so again, here's a good comparison. Again, this is just the normal iPhone. And then this is with the, so it's a flatter look, I guess, but not in a bad way. So how would you say? It's less HDR kind of a look and feel. It's less sharp everywhere. But this could also be a symptom of like my color grading skills were also much worse back then. Or I've definitely learned a lot since then. So maybe there's a chance I could have played with it a bit more. But I just seem to remember feeling like there's a lot more limitations with how much I can really stretch the colors on this file compared to like the other stuff. So anyways, that is it. And then the rest of this video oh, and then I can show a bit more of the iPhone shots here. This is the Nikon.
So Peter,
Yes, please.
Peter's my porter, and Jai,
Okiero.
and Jai, and Okiero. These guys are here to protect us in case the chimps attack.
So this is the iPhone, obviously.
And up ahead is Annette, who is the leader for today's trek.
Okay, so let me take the opportunity to welcome you to the.
This was with the iPhone as well. So this was with that Apple log with the iPhone. So it was pretty good. And also I had it on that gimbal, I'm assuming. So really stable.
Once again, Annette is my name. And this is Kibale National Park. It's one of the 10 national parks we have in Uganda. A home of 13 species of primates.
So you can see the quality and then...
Those are the red primates. Because it's only here where you can get the 13 species.
Oh, and then here you can see, so here's where I was testing the Nikon in, this is like very low light. So I was shooting, because I still don't really know much, but I was shooting in the 800 ISO. I had on probably like a f2.8 lens and probably at 2.8. But you can see how dark it got inside the forest. But the Z9 held up pretty well, the NRAW and everything. But it was pretty noisy.
So thank you so much.
Cool.
So yeah, these are all shot with the Nikon Z9. I would lose focus much easier because how dark everything was. Also, I was just hand holding it, so it'd be not as stabilized at times. Yo, Ayo, you did something cool. Or no, hold on, did I miss something? Sorry, it was from Nick. Nick F, thank you very much for subbing. Yo, over on the YouTube side, thank you very much. All right. Fed says, I can see its iPhone now easily now that it's closer to full screen. Yeah. And then this one is Nikon. So this is now the NRAW. So we've switched over. Once the music kicked in, I switched over into like a more of a theatrical segment, like a music video style. Thank you again, Nick. Thanks for the sub. We're just watching one of my older videos, just happenstance, but I figure we'll just dive into it. It's kind of fun looking back at this though, because I'm like, not that I don't mind it, but it's like, my goodness, you can see everything has a green tint. So even her skin is very greenish and everything. So I think now, hopefully my skills would be a bit better where I could at least separate out the skin tone a bit from the rest. But it's a mood, okay? It's a mood. It's very dark. So you kind of lean into it, I guess. And then here's where it cleans up. Oh man, I cannot wait. I'll be back in the jungle soon with the ZR. So I'll be back in this exact forest in a month's time. And yeah, hopefully I'll be filming. Hopefully I'll get even better shots and everything. And we'll get some chimps in the wild again. Ugh. And this took us, I think, like 3 to 4 hours of searching. Like, it took us way longer than expected. So everyone was like so exhausted.
Time seemed to stand still as we trekked deeper into the forest, always just a step behind the chimps we were tracking. But there was no rush, no anxiety, just the forest setting our pace, its ambient sounds lulling us into a tranquil state of zen. I was at peace, simply existing within the magic of the moment. If I had to guess, it was close to 3 hours of searching, but we stayed persistent, and thankfully, as you're about to see, it all paid off.
This is iPhone. So yeah, it's like so noticeable. But yeah, so this is back to the iPhone Apple log. So better quality than the HDR, but still has a limitation on the colors and everything. But very stable. It is also kind of crazy. It's funny, I'm doing like a full dissection of this video. I should do that more often. I should just like do a dissection behind the scenes of each of these episodes that I have, or any of my videos or photos I've captured. But with this one, it was kind of crazy I was used to the concept of like following tracks for wildlife. So you look for the paw prints of like a tiger or whatever cats or whatever animals. It was a little bizarre to me that you would track the knuckles of this animal because it's a chimp, and the way they walk, they're like, they just fist up, you know, they have their fists and then they just leave knuckle marks on the forest floor. I don't know what it was about that, but something about it was very surreal to me. Like this, I don't know. It's just a very different concept of tracking. But it's also a reminder how closely aligned we are to chimps. Fed says it looks much better when it was in the small window, to the point I was wondering if it was the Osmo Pocket 3, but even then it didn't look like a real large sensor image. Yeah, and Fed, I can show you, well, we're not going to get there yet, but I have a lot of footage with the Osmo Pocket 3 of some of my very last trips, or like the more recent ones. And the shots are pretty good. They're pretty good. Again, it's like it's definitely a step up from the iPhone, but yeah. When you go from one to the other, the difference is glaring. Yeah, exactly. It's still very noticeable if you mix and match the different styles. If you're only shooting in the Osmo Pocket or the iPhone, it's not as bad, but the moment you put it side by side, it just makes it more obvious. So this is all with the Apple log. So she was explaining how basically the chimpanzees, the way they communicate in the wild, it is kind of wild because they use these trees and they'll thump on it And this is basically like their version of a walkie-talkie or cell phones. So they'll thump on the tree to kind of get the attention of the other chimps in the troop or whatever elsewhere. I was like, damn, that's crazy. So this is all the iPhone. And it started raining. It was so crazy. This is probably good for a phone. Yeah, it's excellent. Like, I'm so happy I had the phone, right? Because a lot of these captures I wouldn't have been able to capture if not for the fact that I had the phone ready. Because like at the time I had the Z9 and I had a 400 millimeter lens attached, so I was getting some nice portraits of the chimps. But the moment it started raining and then the chimps started going wild, but I couldn't swap out lenses because it was pouring rain, so I didn't want to expose my sensor to anything. So I was stuck with the 400, which meant I lost a lot of potential shots. Especially there's one moment where the chimp, like one of the chimps, like literally barreled straight towards me, was just like, you know, full sprint all the way straight towards me, and then the last second it did like a 90-degree turn and just headed off to the side. It was like really insane, but yeah, I couldn't capture it on my camera because the 400. But this was definitely one of the wildest experiences I've had a few times now, but this was the only time I've got to see the chimps in the wild, or in the rain in the wild. And so, one, you're hearing rain pitter patter in all directions, right? So you get the sound of the rain, and then mixed in with the sound of the rain is the chimpanzees like shrieking, and it would just kind of echo in every direction. So anytime they would start to shriek and do all the chimp calls, you can't really tell where it's coming from. It felt like it was like in every direction. So very, very surreal. And then when you see the chimps, like all of a sudden you look to the right, a chimp is like sprinting past you. And then you look to the left, another chimp is going off in another direction. So it felt like they were surrounding you. And then they literally did the thing that you see in Tarzan or whatever, where they would grab some like low-hanging vines or branches, and then they would literally swing, they would use it to swing forward to get to the next area. It was like so insane. One of the best, craziest experiences. Oh yeah, and this dude right here, basically he was trying to mate with one of the females, and the female rejected him, and he was he was so upset, embarrassed or whatever, that after he got rejected, he started just throwing a temper tantrum. He was like grabbing these trees and like shaking them around and stuff like that. It was hilarious. This guy was pissed. But it's also a reminder how strong they are. Because they're like, some of these trees that he's pulling on, they're not weak trees, but they make it look like it's a blade of grass, the way they just like manhandle it. And then of course, this is where we switch over into like the Nikon footage. And all of this was shot with the 400, which is like I don't recommend it for most people because it is a very tight shot and it's hard to walk around in the jungle with it. But it does lend itself to like really clean portraits if you have decent enough lighting. Ayo says, hello, I'm back. Sorry, I just had to refresh the intro. I've already said it, send it on the videos on the... Nice, nice. And yes, monkey time, or I guess technically ape time. Also, trying to grab focus of the chimps in the rain, that was also like a whole other challenge. It's like every direction you look, there's a chimpanzee wandering near you. It's a little bit terrifying, but also just like kind of crazy. And that's it. Reflections and farewells. I give my little parting thoughts about the entire trip. And then usually, you know what? One thing, maybe for our next vlog series, I'll try this other style. Because usually my format has just been like, I show only the videos from start to finish. And at the end of each episode is where I show like a final photo montage. So at the end of each episode, I would show my best photos that I took. But it's like, what are the percentage of people who actually watch this video all the way to the end? So in some senses, most people will never see the photos that I captured, my best shots, because I'm just putting it towards the end. But I don't know. It feels weird sometimes to try to insert it in between my video travel vlog moments, but I'll try it on the next one, I think. Ayo says, when I try to find my friends in hide and seek, but they went home. Friends? What is that? DTK says, hey, what's up? I finally got here. Yo, thank you for being here. We're just watching one of my vlog episodes that I'd made in the past. And so it turned into a bit of a dissection, but yeah.
My favorite photos from this adventure at the end.
And here is my travel photo montage.
Thank you again for being a part of this journey, and I'll see you in the next video.
There's the hippo again. Hold on a second. Make sure. Okay, good. 4K. See, yeah, so if I did a travel vlog episode, but this time some of these photos, if I put it in the moment that I was showing in the video, that way people can see both photo and video captures at its relevant points, I guess. But it's also, I kind of don't mind having it at the end or in this kind of like a travel montage version. And you know what? I should maybe make a YouTube video, which is just my photos from a country, and that's it. Like soft music, only photos, no video. That could be an idea for like that way it's like a pure photo montage. So the people that watched my episodes but didn't actually catch the endings here, which I don't blame you if you missed it, it could just be a YouTube video of just the photos. Okay, that's a good idea. Good idea, Yobel. So I'll make, maybe I'll put that in the to-do list. I'll make one episode, or one video of Uganda with just some kind of whatever the soundtrack that fits, and it'll just be my top photos from all of the trips in Uganda. And I can do that for the other countries as well. Can I hide it? I think this is the last one, yeah. There you go. So thank you guys for enjoying this video. 28 minutes long. So this was definitely one of the longer vlogs, but it was my final one. I did have that thought in my head of like, do I make 2 episodes out of this? But I didn't think the first half, I don't know. Part of me was thinking if I split this into 2 videos, was it strong enough on its own to be its own video? And then part of me thought, you know what, let's just put it all into one thing. I don't know. Decisions, but this was the episode 7, the last one of the series that I made. So nice. Ayo says, I'm intrigued. If you really want to be a photographer or likes to, if you really want to be a photographer or if you like to photograph, what's the most recommended camera? Since most of my friends use like Sony's, and knowing the fact they cost a lot. I was thinking, you know what? Thank you for asking this, because I was thinking I might just make a quick video about my. It's like a broader video maybe, but I have like a kind of rule of thumb or a suggestion on if you're buying a camera for the first time, what do you buy and how much do you spend? The what doesn't matter so much in my opinion. These days, like whether it's a Sony, Nikon, Canon, whatever, you name the brand, they tend to have like excellent qualities, right? All of them, you can't go wrong. It's a better question to ask, which lens system do you want to buy into? So sometimes you will look at like, okay, if I get a Sony camera, do they have a good, do they have a deep bench, like a bench lineup of the types of lenses that I might want to use, or the ones that I think are important for my use case? And if they have that deep bench of all the lenses you need, then that should also help dictate what you purchase. Because you have to think of it that way. Once you buy that camera, think of it as like you're not just buying that one camera, you're buying into a system. So it's like if you're buying a Sony camera, you're buying into the Sony system, Nikon and the Nikon system, and so on. So that's one thing, but you honestly can't go wrong with any of them. If your friends all shoot Sony, there's a world where buying a Sony can also make sense because you can borrow some of their lenses, or they can help teach you at times. You know, there's a bit of like that cross-pollination. So that's a benefit. But then I can also see the value of shooting something different from your friends, right? Because, you know, we're all human in some ways where we all want to stand out. We all want to be unique in our art. Photography is an art, right? For most of us. And so you want to capture things in a way that's different from others. So shooting with the same gear as your friends may kind of start to rub the wrong way, in the sense of like, I want to spread my own wings type thing. So completely opposite direction is also warranted. It's just up to you. But in terms of quality, you can't go wrong. You'll always hear people say, oh, here are the pros, here are the cons. Sony's amazing for autofocus, or Nikon has the best glass, or you name it, right? And everyone's, you can get like stuck in that world. When it comes to price, I call it the iPhone rule. I don't know how true this rule will be. It was true at the time when I made my very first camera purchase. The way I thought of it is, Fed says, I guess just buy a Nikon since you can use the Sony lenses on it with the adapters. That is a good answer, but I know my bias. Obviously, I work with Nikon. I'm a Nikon shooter, so I'm always a little bit more hesitant to like say go with Nikon, right? But yeah, realistically, you can get any of them and it'll do the job. But Nikon did in more recent times, as they're investing into these mirrorless cameras, they have designed it in such a way that they're trying to get Sony and Canon users to hop on over to Nikon. So they made the transition easy. So if you have Sony lenses, It's easily adaptable to the Nikon camera. So, but yeah, so I was saying the iPhone rule. Really, when I've made my first camera purchase, I was thinking like, oh my God, I don't know the first thing about photography. Am I going to waste my money on a camera when these iPhones keep coming out and these iPhones have like really excellent blah, 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 you know, it's these features, whatever. And when I bought my first camera, this is like 10 years ago. So keep that in mind. So then I decided that I think logically, perhaps, if I'm going to invest money in a camera and I want to make sure the camera is better than the iPhone, like I don't want to feel like I wasted money on this camera when the iPhone can shoot better. My assumption was I should spend, if an iPhone costs $1,500 or if an iPhone costs $1,000, then I should spend $1,000 for my camera, at least the camera body and one of the lenses, enough that I can actually start pointing and shooting and capturing something, right? Because the thought process is like, if an iPhone is $1,000 at the time, the iPhone is like an everything in your pocket device, right? It's not a dedicated camera. It is a dedicated machine that lets you access the world, you know, send messages and do all the other things you need to. Plus, it has the feature of, you know, capturing photos and videos. But it wasn't designed dedicated. It's not $1,000 that you're spending just for the camera feature, right? So my thought process is like, okay, you've got a company like Apple that's trying to do everything and they package into this one device that costs $1,000. Or you go to a camera company whose entire existence is to invest and make the best camera device. And if, you know, whatever it is, and you buy that camera or the camera and the lens for $1,000, realistically, that should mean that the quality you get out of that is better than the iPhone. That was my thought process. I think that it rings true. Logically speaking, there's some truth to that, I think. But I'm sure there's some point where Apple will reach there might be a moment. There's some kind of technological evolution where all of a sudden all of that is moot. Possibly. I don't know. Rachel says, what's good? Hello, Rachel. Thanks for being here. We just finished watching my YouTube video from a few years back, my episode 7 of Uganda. And then we're just going on some tangents. Ever since Snapdragon existed, both iPhone and Snapdragon are good competitors. Interesting. I've never used that. If it's for photography and you're now shooting an eagle's eye from a distance and need that type of autofocus, any brand will do that, do a great job. But Sony's ahead on that type of extreme autofocus stuff. Yeah, so I keep hearing that the autofocus is like exceptional. But like I said, Ayo, I would say, I don't know how much an iPhone costs these days. Let's say it's $1,500. Then I would say if you are to buy your first camera and you don't want to feel like you don't want to spend too much money, right? Because that's also a recipe for disaster if you end up, having regrets because you dished out so much money before you actually knew is photography a passion you want to pursue. But you don't want to not put in enough money such that you feel like the quality is not good. And like I said, oh shoot, I should have just bought the iPhone. Like what the heck? The iPhone gives me way more value than a little bit of money I put into a camera. So if an iPhone's $1,500, try to think of it as like put $1,500 to get a proper camera body and a camera lens, and then obviously the battery and the memory card, and then that hopefully should be significantly better than whatever quality the iPhone can get you in a competition if you had to, a comparison. My first camera was a Sony a6000, and I know other people recommend like the Sony a6200 or something like that, even in these days. So the Sony holds up well, but like I said, now I'm in the Nikon world, and Nikon also has some excellent cameras for beginners, for if you're starting out, and their lens lineup is also now it's even growing more and more. And people do say, and I agree, the Nikon lenses are top-notch quality because Nikon actually owns the glassware. Like they have their own factory that they develop and manufacture these lenses. So in fact, I believe they just tied up some partnership with NASA. Is NASA still around? They tied up with whatever American space thing, such that Nikon glass is going to be used in their shuttles and stuff like that. So it is excellent stuff. Anywho, thanks for being here, Rachel. Thank you guys. Fed says soy are a couple. Oh, Sony. Sony are a couple steps ahead in extreme conditions. Other than that, I don't see any reason to get Sony considering what you get for less money from other brands, internal RAW and video features. And then AO says, something I noticed is that I like how out of every streamer who just reads the comments, not the one who commented, read the name who commented first, then you continue to read, which I like about small streamers like this. Oh, thanks. You know what? I don't always do it. Sometimes I do just kind of speed through some of it. But I tend to read it. But yeah, it could just be a symptom of being a small streamer. So, you know, I want to acknowledge I view each of you guys in the chat as like obviously individuals. And I do wonder, like, once you become a massive streamer, do you view the chat as even human? You know, like, do you get to a point where you just view it as like, you know, your brain just gets rewired into not thinking of it like a conversation? I am curious about that, if that does happen. But I'll try my best to keep that in mind. You guys are all human. AO says NASA is still around. Okay, thank you. I could have sworn for some reason that it was like donezo. What was I going to say? Oh yeah, because Fed mentioned the Sony thing. That made me think about something. Sony said Fed says, I don't see any reason to get the Sony considering what you get for less money. Oh, yes. I'm not the expert on that, but one thing I will say is that with the Sony, or sorry, not with Sony, with Nikon, one of the other things that you should keep in mind, and this is true in my area, so in the Middle East African region, so you have Nikon Middle East Africa. They have a really good support system for Nikon photographers. So once you like purchase some Nikon cameras or lenses and you're one of these like what they call Nikon Premium member, which is easy, like literally you just buy any camera or lens and you can become a member. But then basically you get all these benefits as a Nikon Premium member. I don't know if it's true for every region, but definitely in my area. This is where I mentioned the fact that I even became a wildlife photographer was only made possible because they were organizing these travels for dirt cheap. You get like a discount to travel to locations, and you can also borrow the cameras and lenses needed for free. If you break it, you pay. But like, I mean, you know, that's obvious. And so, yeah, they have this really good system that lets you borrow cameras, borrow lenses, depending on the availability, of course. And yeah, so to me, and also having these like Nikon Premium member travels, so that you can actually go on a group trip with like a photography leader who's like teaching you while you're doing the thing. It could be wildlife, it could be cultural travels, whatever it is, nature. So having that kind of a network or community that supports creators is like a huge thing. I almost put more value in that than, let's say, if like a different brand has marginally or significantly better glass or camera quality. But if they don't have a good support system to help you develop your skills, meet other photographers, borrow the gear or like whatever, they don't treat you like they care about you. Well, at some point it does feel limiting. And I think maybe, again, I don't know the reputation of Sony and stuff, but I do feel like most people perceive Sony as the superior, cooler, hippie, what, not hipper, the more hip brand, right? At least on social media. And to the point where I know there's always the meme that Nikon cameras are like a potato. They compare it to a freaking potato, right? Like a literal potato. How dare they? But I think once you get to the king of the hill feeling, when you're perceived that way, sometimes you get stretched thin as a company that you're not able to support all the creators in the right way. Whereas like Nikon, I feel like they're getting this like underdog status, even though they are one of the top brands in the world. They used to be the number one, you know, like in the DSLR world and all that kind of stuff, right? I think so. I could be wrong. But now there's like this feeling of they have to catch up to the other brands when it comes to these mirrorless cameras. And in some ways, as a business decision, so it's not anything to say about like, oh, they're just they care more about you or anything like that. I would never ascribe that to a company. But because of that underdog perception, I think they do actually put more emphasis on trying to support the individual creators or doing their best to try to show energy and support to them, because they have to take the wins where they can. They want to obviously change hearts and minds and all that kind of stuff. And so I feel like they've put that money in the right place, at least in my region, and I'm very, very grateful for that. Not to say they're a perfect company. Nobody, I don't know. I don't know enough about them to that extent. Anyways, AO says, I got to go to sleep now. Don't worry. We'll talk tomorrow or someday. Be confident and be encouraged on making videos. Thank you very much. I appreciate the confidence, the boost of confidence, the kind words, AO. Have a good night. And yeah, thanks for sharing your content as well. Fed says Sony still lacks internal RAW, even on the cinema cameras like the FX3 and FX6. Oh, do they really? Huh. Wait, I don't understand. So you can't shoot RAW, like the S-Log or whatever it's called. You can't shoot the RAW in FX3. What do you... does that mean you have to use a monitor? I don't understand. I don't know anything. Actually, I don't even know what that... So that means they have to use some kind of a external monitor or one of those other devices to be able to record it in RAW. Only the Cine Alta Division cameras have internal RAW. Influencers seem to love Sony. I think Sony just did a good job of branding for sure, but like they also had a leg up with the whole mirrorless move and the autofocus, and the qualities of the camera sure were fantastic. But I think was it no. I think Peter McKinnon was a Canon shooter, right? I don't know. I feel like there just were a few big photographer names out there that represented some of the other brands that also probably helped in the beginning days. But then I remember Jared Polin, who's like he's like so funny, and like I like his videos a lot. I know he eventually shifted away from Nikon. And I remember when I watched that video, that also was quite influential to me, of like, damn, really? What's going on? Why are people leaving? But the Nikon, it like lit a fire under their ass, I guess. So maybe these influencers are more followers than influencers in many cases. You shoot S-Log to Sony's own H.264 and H.265 in their mirrorless camera. Okay. I didn't know that, Fed. Thank you. I didn't realize. Yeah, shooting the internal... Because I remember at the time, they made a big deal of like, oh my god, you can shoot RAW internally. And I didn't get the importance maybe at the time. Okay. All right. Well, thank you for sharing, guys. We got to watch that. Excellent. Wow. Can we all agree? Whoever made this video, fantastic storyteller, really just knows how to capture quality footage. Am I right? This guy clearly explores the world. So, there's something else. Oh yeah, speaking of Peter McKinnon, he just posted a new video. It's 32 minutes. I'm not sure. It's already 9 p.m. It's probably not best. I should work on my video. But something called Why I'm Rethinking How I Make Everything. We'll watch like the first 30 seconds at least.
Making content in 2026 is a very different world. Now, before we dive into how that affects you and me...
Do you guys hear something? Or like, did it sound like there's some weird echo with his voice? Hold on.
A different world. Now, before we dive into how that affects making content in 2026 is a very different world.
Yeah, right? I'm hearing like a double... I feel like I'm hearing his voice twice. Fed says Nikon was quite early offering NRAW internally for mirrorless at the time they introduced it. Yeah, and I guess maybe, I don't know why, but nobody shot in NRAW. But to be also fair, I guess, like when I say nobody, I mean like my fellow Nikon photographer, people in my region, nobody ever shot in NRAW. And I think mostly it's because like most Nikon photographers were photographers. There weren't many Nikon cinematographers or video creators or whatever. So that could also be the reason. So at the time when I decided, oh, let me test out NRAW, I was able to make a name for myself within Nikon in my region, because there literally wasn't any other creator that was making content and capturing hours of footage in their own proprietary NRAW. So that actually helped me out significantly, because then it got me more noticed as like a niche creator that they can rely on to do workshops or to share my knowledge or to do more video stuff. Yeah. It's weird, like thank you, I didn't know the right word. Thank you, Fed. Reverb or something, yeah.
Now, before we dive into how that affects you and me, What's up, everyone? This is my friend Jay Mitchell, who is the owner of Coup de Tete. You guys have seen him in many videos. You are no stranger to this channel.
A stranger to this room, though. It looks fantastic.
It looks good.
Yeah, okay, they did. I don't know why it's not a big deal, but like, I don't know. When I think of Peter McKinnon, I just think he's the cream of the crop, right? Like this guy is the top of the line when it comes to these YouTube photographer creators out there, knowing their shit, knowing all the tech stuff, having all of it within reach, having access to all the brands. Now I'm wondering, like, yo, how come nobody on your team, nobody mentioned to you that there's like this weird, because I'm still hearing it throughout, that weird little echo or something, reverb. I bet many of those photographers shoot video with photography settings anyways, auto ISO, auto shutter speed, like people shoot with a GoPro or a phone. Wait, let me read. I bet many of these photographers. Wait, Fed, you're talking about like Nikon shooters, or I'm not sure.
Right?
Yeah, oh yeah.
I haven't done a tour yet. There's a few pieces I'm waiting for.
There you go.
And then we'll get to it.
Yeah.
But you and I are in a similar situation with how we feel about making content in 2026.
Also, oh my God, I'm turning Canadian. Let me pronounce my words better. Also, one thing I've been more mindful of is like trying to keep an eye on different compositions, lighting, and all that kind of stuff. So I do really like his framing here. So I just want to say it out loud so it gets burned into my memory a bit better. But so I like this kind of 3 lights, warm tone off in the far left in the background. So it gives a warm tone here. And then I guess it's separated by a little bit more of a darkish monotone look across everything. And then he's got that rim light. I believe that's what it's called, right? So he's got the hair/rim light. Although the hair light doesn't look so good on his hair because Peter McKinnon, he's getting older. I guess we all are, right? But I mean, I kind of like this look, but I guess with the hair light, it makes each of the strands of hair stick out a bit more or more noticeable. Well, yeah, you got the rim light to separate the subject from the background. What else can we notice? The leading lines, I guess, with all the books and the bookshelf and the frames and the wall. Yeah. And it's like there's a bit of like a diagonalness to the wall, so it's like kind of conveying a bit of depth, I guess. I'm just bullshitting, by the way, so I'm not saying anything with any semblance of confidence. But these are the things I'm assuming are the things that matter. And then also I'm trying to be mindful of like how much of the microphone is visible. I know this is obviously very key for most podcast environments. So you can see the full-on mic, and he's using a Shure SM7B. So it sounds like the SM7B is still the main one. That also doesn't make any sense to me. If I'm Peter Mother effing McKinnon, I would want to get something that looks so different. You know, it's just like you just want to get that shiny toy. But like if money's not an issue, why go with the same microphone that everyone else uses? Why not go for those like crazy looking, you know, something that stands out? I know that's a bit of a vanity thing, but again, you're Peter McKinnon. You got all the money. You clearly built out this really cool looking set. So, and he's like a tech geek, right? So why not go that extra step with like a unique microphone? Fed says, so RAW doesn't make sense the way they often shoot. I saw so many Nikon ZR videos shot like that early on. Weird soap opera motion. Interesting. Okay. Photographers who rarely shoot video. Oh, I see what you're saying. Like when you don't have that knowledge, you end up thinking the same kind of settings and the rules apply from photo to video. So then they just kind of treat it the same way at a surface level. Photographers who rarely shoot video or are new to it often just use the same settings they're used to when taking photos, at least at first. It makes sense. It's easier to stick to what you know. Gotcha. I agree. Isn't this his home? I have no idea. It's a cool setup.
And I thought it was a very relevant topic to talk about now because it's a very different landscape.
Definitely.
Things are happening.
Dude, that double echo thing is bothering me. I'm so jealous though. I listen, I've said it before. I think every creator wants to have their own podcast setup, right? To have just like you have a certain amount of money and you can redecorate a whole ass place and invite guests over, build it out over time, it's just like such a cool concept that I definitely want to do. But like I said, my ambition is a bit different. My ambition is to do podcast on the road, right? So that's what I really want to make that series possible, where I'll do a podcast interview, just like you see Peter McKinnon here, but imagine we're on a freaking Jeep heading off to chase after some elephant or some cheetah. But in the meantime, I'm interviewing them. The cameras are rolling, recording everything, and then just asking questions and getting interrupted every once in a while to take some photos. But then boom, like to me, come on, how cool is that as a podcast idea? And it only works if you have access to enough Safari and like these kind of locations to make it a consistent thing. So maybe eventually I need to move to like South Africa or Kenya or somewhere so that I can just literally have a lodge and then invite guests over throughout the year. And it's like when I fly you out to do an episode of my podcast, it's like, oh, we're about to hit up this decked out Jeep and we're going to do the interview on the fly as wildlife chases us or we chase that. How cool is that idea, right? So that is my biggest ambition. Yeah, that's like my North Star right now. It sounds really weird on my Atmos setup too. I hear his voice echoing in the surrounds. Yeah, exactly. So I'm hearing, it's almost like, I wonder what causes it. I just don't know enough. I'm assuming they don't have headphones on, so they're not able to hear themselves. So maybe they have a speaker somewhere nearby, and maybe the volume on the speaker was just too loud or slightly too loud, so the microphones are somehow picking it up. Or because that's the only thing I can think of. Because I don't know enough. Like, is there like some separate channel that the audio is being routed to, and then somehow they forgot to scrub it from the project timeline? I don't know. I don't know what this is either. This thing looks interesting. I'm assuming this is the audio switcher or the audio interface. What else can we point out from this setup? So I do like this montage here in the background, the collage of photos. It looks very clean. Obviously, he's stuck to a black and white style throughout. He's also using some kind of LUT, I'm assuming, that is... And I've seen other creators do this as well, where you focus in on like the black color. It's a nice look for sure. What else can we see? We see a fire alarm here. I wish they could hide that. I guess they're not allowed to. The cowboy, this is a little bit weird to me. These cowboy hats, maybe just because of this angle, these things look tiny. Like they're either children's hats or somehow it's so far away from them that it looks super tiny. Rachel says, this is just a podcast / broadcast setting on his voice. What's most likely happening is there are 2 tracks recording at the same time. Their editor was too lazy to mute the second channel. Well, can I ask you, Rachel, are you saying like... okay, so are you saying, is it the former or the latter of the scenario I was pointing out? Is it like this got recorded into 2 tracks, and then when they upload it into like whatever, DaVinci or Premiere or whatever they use, it would show up as a separate track, but they forgot to mute it? Like, okay, I think that's what you're saying. As opposed to the original microphone here picked up the background sound of the speakers playing in the same room. When the other person is talking, that's a mix pre-6. Mix pre-6, okay. Maybe he put slapback echo on his audio to go with the faux cowboy vibe. Okay. All right, what else can I point out? Because I feel like there's always a few things that every podcast does. One is product placement. So, of course, we've got everyone does this, right? You've got your drink of choice. So we got Liquid Death. And it does fit with his color grading style, like this black and white, like monotone-esque thing going on here. You've got a little notebook, sunglasses just tossed onto the table, whatever this device is here, this white thing, some battery chargers, some other bits and bobs. So I do. If I had a podcast, I'm indifferent right now. I don't know which direction I would go. Do I go with the very clean, intentional look, like everything that you see is there for a reason, or do you go with a mix like Peter McKinnon's doing, where obviously the background is very, very rigid in a good way of like having intent, but then everything on the table becomes like a toss of, you just like toss your keys on the table type of a feel, and there's cables everywhere, wires. You're just grabbing your drinks and sipping away. I don't know which direction I'd go. I think, but at the very least, one direction I know I would go is I'm not sure I would be okay with having guests or myself have open cans and drinks on the table next to all the electronics. I've seen too many times it's gonna get knocked over. I'm gonna knock it over. Someone else is gonna knock it over. You're in a podcast setting. You're gonna be so what's the word? You're gonna be very energetic and like, you know, your hands are gonna go everywhere. It's gonna get knocked over, man. I would. It's like the Asian part of me where you say no shoes in the house type thing. I would feel the same way. I'd put some cup holders somewhere else. Yeah, actually, that's kind of what I do here. Even in my home, my studio setup, I don't have the drink on the table because I know I'm gonna knock it over, or my cats will. So I have a little holder underneath that I can reach. All right. Rachel says, Fed says, oh no, I read that. Rachel says, because there are two mics, there are two tracks. The second mic is picking up the other person, hence the echo. But are you saying they're picking up each other? So like Peter's mic is picking up the guest's mic, and then the guest's mic is picking up Peter's mic, and then they forgot to just kind of isolate or remove, or yeah, I guess like reduce it somehow? Fed says that's some weird ass tattoos on his hand. Looks like a scribbled note for his next video project. Which one? I like Peter McKinnon's tattoos. Although you can see a lot of them are kind of faded now, which is cool too. There's a concept where you do, it's called blast over. So I didn't realize this until I saw one of my Russian artists when he came over, the one who did my hand tattoo. He's got so much ink on him, but he's done it for years. So a lot of the ink has started to fade away. But then once it fades away, so it becomes less like dark black and more like faded gray, then you just do ink work on top of it. And so it becomes like this dark black on top of like light gray. So they do stand out. And there's enough difference, but it's similar enough that depending on the design that you do, it can just actually breathe a new life to this new design. It's a cool concept. Basically, the point is, once you've tatted up your entire skin, you can keep going. And it's like you just do layers on top of layers. So, but yeah. Rachel says their editor should have muted the other mic while that person is speaking. You can see it in the levels on the mix presets in the background too. Yeah, I did see some bars changing here every time they're talking. Rachel said, I recorded podcasts for a living and used this setup before too. Oh my God, Rachel. I need you on the team. Fed, Rachel, Swiss Army Cinema, Cyronius, Maple Glades. You guys have to be part of my crew, okay? Our crew. But I don't know, Rachel, if you caught what I was saying. I do want to do podcasting in the future. And my challenge is I want to do the podcast from moving vehicles, right? So from a Jeep safari, from a boat safari, from a hot air balloon, right? Like different types of environments. But I want to be able to do podcast in that style. So clearly I'm going to need the best audio system to get rid of all the wind noise and all the other craziness. That mic must be wide, says Fed. It's bleeding well into the surrounds on my setup. Is that one of the characteristics of the Shure SM7B? I don't remember what people said about that mic. His main voice is in the center speaker. Rachel says, yes, I'm here for you. Yes. Fed says the cats need to be promoted to co-host for a possible podcast. Yeah. Listen, they are. They're just on my arms, you know? Oh, wait, where are you? Yeah. I will never bring my cats to the wild. They will be eaten up so quickly. Oh my God. That's like the first snack for the lions. But yeah, otherwise, I do like the setup. My assumption, okay, so there's a word for this in the filmmaking world, right? I forget what it's called, where you have light sources from things that are natural, or I guess not natural. You have light sources based on objects that you expect to have light coming from it inside the set. I just forget what the term was for that. But the point is they got these lamp sources here to add some extra ambient light, I guess. And then I have no idea. My curiosity comes down to, are they using one large like softbox or something to light up both subjects here? Or do they have like that setup where they got one pointing at Peter, one pointing at the guest?
Fast and at a very different way from everything we've ever known. And a lot of like the way I used to teach how to make content online, I think is different entirely now.
Yeah, it's I think a big thing just looking at it from.
Yeah, I hear the echo on both. Whenever they're talking, it's always there. Do you think anyone in the comments have made that comment? Like, do you think anyone else is like calling him out for that? I feel bad because I don't feel bad, but yeah, it's good to point these things out, I guess. It's good to see what works and what doesn't. Right now, I'm just trying to figure out, could I tell, or can I get to a point where I'm so expert now or so experienced where it's like you take one look at this guy, you're like, oh, I know exactly. He's using this kind of softbox, like an 85 whatever, and yeah, it's at this angle here, or he's using one of those big lights, or I don't know. One thing I will say, though, is I feel like they spent all this time on Peter's background to make it look very nice and warm and with depth and, yeah, personality. But they didn't spend any time on the guest side. Because now the guest side is like you can see the wall is super close to the subject. So there's not any of that depth. You see the freaking air conditioning. I'm assuming this is like an AC unit or not like, yeah, I'm assuming this is not art here over on the left side, and it might just be part of the building fixture. And it's just all pure black, I guess, with a bit of reflection from the light, which in my opinion doesn't do it much justice. And there is that art piece here, but you don't even get to see it properly because the guest covers it up. So the artwork that looks pretty cool as far as I can tell from this angle here on the right side, you just don't ever get to see it anyways. So I feel like all the budget went to everything except for the guest. So, you know. Oh, and then also, it looks like the microphone here, you are now seeing a lot more of the mic, or like the mic is raised up much higher. So we see a lot more of that pole fixture. Whereas with Peter, it was like basically cropped off right at the bottom of the mic. Here, let me see. So Peter's eye is right here. So let me put the mouse cursor there. Yeah. So, and then that's one other thing I would say is that I feel like, I could be wrong, but I would imagine you kind of want to frame each guest such that their eyes are at the same level, such that when you do hop between them back and forth, it would not be as jarring in terms of the height difference or in terms of like where the eyes are positioned. So it doesn't look like, you know, obviously in an exaggerated sense, if his eyes are here and then Peter's eyes are down here, it would just look very weird because they're all staring kind of, you know, directly to the left or right. So I guess that would be the other comment is it feels like they should have raised this camera frame. It should have been raised much higher such that his eyes were at the same level and the mic should be basically about the same cutoff is what I would say as a non-expert. Fed says, Michael Jameson has 2 tigers in his backyard. His cat will sometimes wander into their area. Who the heck is this guy? And looks totally calm doing so. Is Michael Jameson some kind of a nature person, conservationist? Or is he like some dude who lives in Dubai and owns some pet tigers? Fed says the cowboy's voice surprised me in the side angle. I was expecting a more manly voice. I don't know. All right, let's keep saying
what
here.
I thought I needed to do to what is getting real response in real time is so different and almost like anti-intuitive.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I needed to do all of these things and I was basing my ideas off of.
And then I do feel like the camera frame here, it's like cropping him off. Like he's basically right up against the wall of this frame, whereas Peter's got a lot of space to the left of him. So I feel like the camera should have been a bit wider just to give the same. There should have been an equal amount of, I guess, space given to the guest as they do for him, I think. Who knows? Who knows, right? Clearly, okay, just to point it out, I say all this with love because I think like Peter McKinnon is one of the best creators, like obviously like one of the pioneers who really kind of set the stage for eventually for someone like me to even try to do this. So all of this is said with love, but in the name of trying to understand better about the different techniques involved, film techniques, podcast, lighting stuff. These are the things that I guess I would call out in this moment to say, like, if I could do it in the best of my ability, if I have my own podcast setup, hopefully I'll adhere to the same things I'm calling out here. So yeah, equal spacing I think would be nice for a bit of symmetry, since everything else here feels symmetrical anyways, right? They got this table down the middle. They've got this tablecloth that's supposedly in the center of the table. So if they're already kind of drawing this out to feel a bit centered, they got the ceiling lights also in the center of the frame, then I feel like you might as well complete the rest of it to make everything feel symmetrical then as much as possible, including giving a bit more space behind this guy. Who knows? Who knows?
So many things, and then taking a break and coming back into it, I was like, oh, okay, this is where it's going now.
Yeah, yeah. You know, part of me likes it. I think it's cool. And then I think part of me also feels like quite an old man about it. I want to say, like, feel my age, and the way I'm doing things feels like I'm stuck in my...
Wait, how old is Peter McKinnon? Peter McKinnon, age. 40. Okay. He's not old at all.
My old ways and refusing to...
Peter McKinnon is very popular, but his photography I've seen on Instagram is colorful cliches, I guess, autumn leaves and such. He did create the making coffee video trend, I think. Oh, yeah. I don't know much about his photography, to be honest. I knew him more just from his videos that he made, like the very creative videos. Yeah, like the coffee video stuff, just very artsy with it, very creative concepts, things that were way beyond my understanding. So very impressive, right? And he is obviously very strong personality, or like a very he's a personality, right? He's very charismatic, very engaging, very fun to listen to, articulate and fun to listen to, you know. So I think he popped off for all the right reasons. I just don't know much about his photography though.
Adapt to the new ways, which I'm definitely...
He did a lot of first, and other influencers copied him a lot.
Open to, and I thought like we could discuss that as a whole. So essentially, the state of social media and Instagram and these platforms being viable spaces for us to exist as creatives.
Yeah, I'm in such a new area because of the direction that I want the content to go in, through your help and through the help of like our awesome community of...
Dude, this audio quality, I don't know what's going on, man. How did you guys... Yeah, this is actually going to bother me because like I'm heaping all this praise to Peter McKinnon and his team, obviously, but then it's like, how does one of the most crucial pieces of a podcast, or I guess just YouTube, right? You're a YouTuber. Most important thing is probably audio more than the visuals at some point, especially for a podcast, because you can have a podcast with no visuals. It could just be on Spotify, whatever. How are you letting this echo thing slide?
Creators and photographers and stuff, it was really learning like that product photography side and really making the pictures sing. And we work with so many different people. I always had great photos. And so I lived in this perfect little box of nice hat picture, nice lifestyle picture of cowboys out on a ranch.
And that's all you needed.
Yeah, that's all I needed. Okay, I always have something to post and those kind of things. And I look now at my growth pattern, everything. I was like plateaued so long ago.
Are you not growing? Have you not grown at all on Instagram in a long time?
I think it was partially burnout, partially like a whole number of things. You and I...
Now, this message I resonate with. Or like, because it's the same thing, but it was also an intentional shift on my part where I started moving away from Instagram. Michael Jameson runs a shelter for saved animals in South Africa. He has a cool YouTube channel. Oh man, do you think maybe I can reach out to him and see if I can get him to join one of those podcasts? I might go to South Africa soon for a potential project. I think it's a room in his home. It's way too cluttered. I think too many random things everywhere on the table. You know what? We're not going to get any video editing done. We're just going to do a proper video. We're going to do some proper video watching. So what did you say it was? Michael Jameson. Yeah, it must be this guy. All right. Maybe we'll watch one of his videos next. But yeah, I might be going to South Africa soon as one of those other potential projects I was mentioning. And South Africa also then would tie up nicely because I know I could do live stream from there. We saw some of those examples of the live streamers who do it with like a TVU unit. They use a TVU or a live view at some of the private game reserves as opposed to the national park where I need the Starlink. So South Africa could be another option for me to test out the live stream. And who knows, maybe if I can reach out to this Michael Jameson guy and be like, hey, would you want to join me on a safari? And then I'll interview you on the safari. And that could be one of the first freaking podcast episodes I test out. I probably should start with someone less famous as if he would even respond to me. But yeah, I need to build my way up to that. But how cool would that be? Okay, we're not going to edit our video today. It's fine.
I have kind of bonded over us trying to figure out, okay, what's next?
I've been in a
Oh yeah, so sorry, I'm interrupting everything. Not that we care about this video too much. I'm learning from it. One thing I was going to mention though is like, because I started off with Instagram, that was like my main source of creating content and showcasing it. But then there was a very important event that I attended with this like huge creator, Khalid Almieri, if I'm pronouncing it right, big creator out in the Middle East. And he did this like talk and I got invited to actually attend it. And he had given one of those advices that he heard from other people, other creators, where it's like he looked around and you look around at all these other creators, the ones that are like successful doing content creation as a living, like on social media and whatever, most of them never post on Instagram. So you look at the largest YouTubers, you look at the largest influencers in the content creation space, they don't really post on Instagram often. Instagram either just becomes like this, it's like a side channel to do some random promotions here and there, but it's not necessarily where they spend their time. And there's an obvious reason for it because Instagram doesn't directly pay you. It's not like a monetizable platform in the way that YouTube is, in the way that TikTok kind of is with like their live streams on TikTok, in the way Twitch and all those guys are, right? Like Instagram becomes like this channel where it doesn't matter if you get a video that cracks 1 million views. It's not like you get paid for the views. So Instagram becomes like a good place for a portfolio. It's a good place for like maybe brand deals or like those kind of things. But as far as like getting your biggest bang for your buck, if you're spending X amount of time to then make this post that gets Y number of views and then you get $0 return from it, versus if you spend the exact amount of time, same amount of time, instead of on an Instagram post, if you then put it into a YouTube video that might get you much smaller views, however, leads to a direct path towards monetization, it's like, why would you spend any time on the social media platform that doesn't reward you for it? So especially in a world where it becomes more and more cluttered and you're fighting for a smaller space, right? With a smaller space, with a lot more competitors for a smaller amount of attention span from the viewers, right? You have to make something that's like 3 seconds, 5 seconds or whatever. So it just becomes like a crowded space. Whereas at that time, when I heard that, it just became one of those like, you know what? I need to commit, create a YouTube channel and just start posting on the YouTube side, because everything he said was like dead on. Like, wait, that makes so much sense. Like, why would I spend as much time as I do trying to post regularly on Instagram and cultivate an audience there, when YouTube is technically the area that has more of a network effect or more scalable effect of like business related stuff. It's one thing if I'm just doing it for social media and casual, but if I'm trying to make this a business, a profession, then going into the long form, going to YouTube or any of the platforms that monetize and pay you for your time and the views makes sense. So anyways, that was why I started shifting over to YouTube. So I haven't posted on Instagram often or regularly. And so my Instagram definitely plateaued. It's one of those where it's like, I don't really feel like I have a good community on Instagram anymore, or at least not one that's like super engaged. They maybe pay attention to me briefly in like my life stories or stuff like that, but it's not necessarily where I have influence. So, but I have noticed that even beforehand, you're seeing that shift. So I do agree with what the guest is saying about like Instagram is feeling like a place where it's harder to stand out, be a creative. Fed says, yeah, Michael raised those tigers who lived in his backyard. You walk out the back door and you're face to face with the tigers. The fence is right outside. Man, that would be so crazy to visit.
Constant state of decline for years as far as Instagram numbers go. And I think like it's probably fair to say right now, if you're watching this, we're specifically talking about Instagram.
Yeah, that's my only platform.
It's unreal the amount of followers I still get. Like it could be like 70,000 new followers, but I'll get 80,000 unfollows. So that minus 10, and it slowly has been chipping away. And I never have been the kind of person to be like, well, I'm shadow banned. It's Instagram. I've always been of the thought, make better content. You're in decline, or people are seeing your stuff and they're reminding, like you're reminding them, as in me, oh yeah, this guy still exists. He's still posting the same things. Here they are, and maybe they're like, I'm not interested in that anymore, so they unfollow.
The recipe is always changing, the algorithm's always changing, and what people are gravitating towards is forever changing. So if you're not able to, I don't want to say if you need to like chase trends, but you do need to know what is your audience specifically asking for or looking for. Sometimes that just means exploration and trying a few things. That's what I'm kind of dedicating this whole year to.
Hey, well, that's what I've been doing, right? Like I said, the whole journey of me, you guys watching this right now, the live streams, my YouTube channel, the IRL live stream, hopefully soon, all of that is technically in the name of trying different things, exploring myself, but then hopefully finding an audience that enjoys it. Fed, you says it's important to remember Instagram is Facebook. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. It is funny to be like, oh yeah, it's one and the same. Yeah.
I'm going to try all these different ideas and I'm going to let the community tell me what works and what doesn't.
I honestly think it's been my lack of willing to participate. I know that things are changing and Instagram is more of a video platform, if not entirely a video platform at this point. The CEO has said himself that this is no longer a photo platform. I feel like an old man because it's that old man inside me that's like unwilling to change. Like I will die on this hill.
You know what? It's kind of funny he's saying this because I literally just filmed an episode of the Behind the Lens series where I talk about this. Which episode was it that I just filmed? Because I explained how I remember seeing all these OG content creators that were making this video. This is back in 2020. Oh my God, which video was this? I just filmed it all. I think it was maybe, oh, I know. So I just made a video. It's not going to publish just yet. I'm working with the editor, but I called it Stop Calling Yourself a Photographer. Okay. That's the working title for now. We'll see. But the point was like challenging what you call yourself and realizing that there are always levels to your passion. And you can have obviously multiple passions, but it doesn't mean they exist on the same playing field. Like you can have tiers to your passion, right? And so it seems a bit self-explanatory or maybe just not that important, but it was one of the most important things that I went through was actually taking the time to understand the hierarchy of my passions to actually see what do I care more about. And once I did that exercise, I realized that photography is not my main passion. It was basically a tool that helps me to pursue a bigger passion, which was traveling, which then made me realize that traveling is not my main passion. Traveling is just a tool that helps me to be better at my higher passion, which is storytelling or the art of storytelling and that kind of concept of creating something and having other people respond in a hopefully a positive way to whatever creation I make, whatever art I make. So anyways, so once I realized that hierarchy, then it became this whole thing of like, wait a second, why am I so resistant to change? Like, why is it if someone says like, hey, Instagram is shifting away from photos, if I called myself a photographer, then I agree with what Peter McKinnon's saying and all that, where you start to feel resistant to the change because like, wait a second, that's my identity. I am a photographer. You're now ripping away, you're changing this platform that was suited for my identity and shifting it for other identities now. That's what the heck, man. And you resist that change. And then, but because I realized that I don't identify myself as a photographer, if I identify myself even as a storyteller, or let's say as a traveler, then it became like okay, you're telling me the times are changing, video is becoming the new wave of what people care about and all that. All right, let me go with the wave. Let me learn how to make videos because I'm not beholden to photography as if that's my identity. So it gave me the room to actually explore other things on the horizon and to expand my toolkit. So I make this whole video. I'm working on it right now. So it's just like funny timing because now Peter, I didn't say Peter, but I do remember back in 2020, because this is when we were obviously in the pandemic, TikTok was blowing up. And so we were starting to see that shift away from photo into the short form video content. And I don't remember if it was just Peter, but I know there's a handful of the OG photographer content creators who would make posts or videos being like, I miss the old Instagram. Like, what's happening? This is not good. They might even promote some of these other platforms or other apps that were trying to get back to the real passion of like sharing photos, right? There's a whole trend of that. And I have no knock on that. It was just more of those, I just had this thought process of like, are you actually a photographer? And if you just take that introspection level of just like thinking it through for yourself, and if you only could realize, maybe some of you would realize you're not actually just a photographer, you are something more. And the moment you realize you're something more, then you are a bit more adaptive to the change as opposed to resistant. So yeah. So it's funny to hear him say these things because I almost feel like I should just clip a few of these moments and ask the editor to put them in as examples of like, when these creators are saying this whole like, I miss the old Instagram and resistant and all that kind of stuff. Anyways, look forward to that video. It's going to come out hopefully soon. We're just putting it together now. But yeah, and then also make sure to check out my current video that I've posted a few days ago. Fed says, old man, lols. Yeah, and don't make, for example, photography your identity. You see that too a lot. Exactly, yeah. Not a good idea to identify that much with the work title. Photography is a thing you do and maybe even love. But it's not an identity, yeah. And the thing is, like, there's nothing wrong with identifying as X or Y. It's just I think sometimes we falsely label. You end up mislabeling yourself with something. And this is the exact same reason why you might have been here, Fed, when we used to talk about this, but like the personality tests or whatever tests that kind of define you, or like the astrology or, like any of those things where it's like you're this star sign, therefore your personality is this type. Or you have the INTFJ, whatever that personality thing was. And the same reason I have concerns about those things is that the moment you identify yourself with those character traits, it defines you. It becomes you, even if it wasn't necessarily 100% true. You start to think that those are the boundaries of what you are as a person. So then if it says you're supposed to be an introvert, then it's like the moment you might actually enjoy exploring and being more extroverted at times. You're like, no, that's not me, because the freaking personality Bible told me I'm an introvert, or like those kind of things. So then you become rigid because of identity. And so I feel the same way. But there's nothing wrong with having an identity. I just think it's just take the time to think through, is that the proper label? So as of now, I feel more comfortable putting the label on myself or identifying myself as a storyteller, because that's a broader kind of higher level passion of mine that I've already kind of thought through and realized it is a deeper passion than the photography or the videography or anything else, which become the tools that help me be better at storytelling. So now I feel more comfortable saying that is my identity. But yeah, so I think identity is good, right? It helps simplify things as well. But if you start dressing like a photographer, you might need to rethink your life. Well, if you start dressing like a cowboy like this guy, then you are a cowboy, right? Become your identity.
I remember when it was
square photos.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
I will just continue to rebel because that's my personality. I will do the opposite of what I'm told is the trend. So if the trend is short form content, vertical content, stuff with hooks, everyone's making content about content, which I'm very tired of. I will do everything. I will shoot and post horizontal photos in film, like on film, instead of all those things. There's an audience for that, and there's people that like that. I like it, so I'm going to keep doing it. To this day, I'll keep doing it. But I can't be surprised when I see those metrics going down because I'm refusing to participate. And I think for me, it's putting the ego aside, it's putting the fear aside, and the habits. I have been curating the grid for so long that I feel like I got to the end, right? My boat reached the shore, and now it's like, okay, there's nothing left to sail, but I'm still trying to curate the grid. It's gone to the point where it is now hurting me. But it's funny that it was the thing that made me, not entirely, but it is a contributing factor to what made me successful and what made my page worth following and exciting to see, because you could change with the seasons and you could change the grid and the colors, and it was fun to watch. But as this platform's changed, so have the rules. And now the thing that made me where I am is the very thing that's hurting me and making me where I am.
And abandoning that long game is so hard to do, where you're
so
like,
hard.
I spent so long at this. And you know what? I recently had a hat that I made for a client that drove up from Maine with his family for me to make a hat.
That's a haul.
And he was like, I'm going to be honest with you. When I came into the shop, I didn't think I was going to see you or meet you. And I was like, that's weird.
Fed says, unless you are in the field, of course. I mean, dressing up as a photographer to go to lunch with friends. Yo, you just gave me an idea. I think I know I'm going to wear it next time I grab coffee with my buddies. Ugh. I'm just going to casually walk into the cafe with this, with my big ass 400 strapped in. Just be like, howdy. I'll say howdy as well. And then, who knows, probably at that point the Dubai police is going to tackle my ass thinking I'm some kind of a never do gooder. Here, let's take a quick second to see Nala. Hello, Nala. Oh man, I need to set up the ASMR microphone again. Oh, look at this cutie. Okay, they're all here. You said, like if you dressed up in your new harness with your 400mm strapped on to go to the cinema with friends? Yeah. Okay, so we're on the same page, yes.
Because what I realized is I had been so focused on this squeaky clean, like super striking grid when you arrive on the page of beautiful product photography, really cool shots by amazing photographers of our hats out in the wild. I had curated this persona that so many people were surprised when they would come in the shop and realize like, oh, this is like a dude and his sister and a bunch of friends that make together. The experience that so many people were getting inside of our shop, nobody was getting online when they arrive on the page, when they go to that. I think as much as we have been talking about like trying to get out of the cycle that we've been in, the authenticity and the things that we've worked really
I wonder what he's going to say. He's saying, why I'm rethinking how I make everything. Do you think he's going to get into live streaming? I still feel like, again, it is going with the times. So I get what Peter McKinnon is saying about being a rebel and always trying to go against the grain. Oh, I got to subscribe to him on this channel. Whoops. Yeah. I get it, but like I wonder, because I guess maybe I'm somewhat the opposite, where I'm not trying to be a rebel per se. I tend to try to go with the flow. And that's the same kind of principle when it comes to AI. I don't necessarily find it conducive or useful for me to completely try to resist the wave of AI, as opposed to trying my best to ride the wave in whatever direction, but at least going forward. So yeah, it's like one of those where I'm accepting the fate of the world, but in that acceptance, I'm trying to then carve a flow or find a way to kind of push the flow in the direction I want to ever so slightly. And that's like an example with live streaming, where I do feel like live streaming is, when I say live streaming, it could be anything. Like even this dude who makes cowboy hats, like I would assume if he would actually open up that little studio that he's saying where it's just him and his, what do you say, like his sister or friend, and like turn that into like the actual content where people can see you making the hats. I have no idea what this guy does though. He might actually do that already. Fed says, do you think this guy is really a cowboy who lassos bulls? Not with that voice. No, I'm kidding. Who knows? This guy sounds like he's been in the industry, so. Explore. Okay, so AI generated video summary. Explore how changing digital landscapes impact creative processes and audience connection. Two creators discuss adapting their strategies to prioritize authentic storytelling over polished perfection. There's this new AI tool here, which is actually kind of useful. Let's see if it works though. Or let's hit summarize the video. The changing nature of social media, Instagram shift to video, the struggle with authenticity versus perfection, audience connection and community. Peter's wife advice to use stories as an outlet for his personality and to show his daily life is highlighted as a secret weapon. They emphasize that people are interested in seeing the creator as human beings in the behind the scenes process. I mean, technically that is actually what I do with my Instagram. It hasn't been used as much since I stopped traveling for the most part, but as I go back into travel mode, I have been using Instagram mostly for the Instagram stories. So I haven't really posted on the reels or the actual posts. It's been more just like while I'm traveling, I would share stories as quickly as possible so that you can see almost in real time, like, here's what I'm doing while I'm traveling in X country. And that's been really fun for me. It doesn't give you much returns though. And that's one of the things, right? It's like you sacrifice gaining a following by posting on stories, because it's not like a lot of people outside of your existing followers find you and then follow you. So, but you're giving more content to the people who follow you. So it's like it's a trade-off, but it's a trade-off that was made easier for me to do because I already made the commitment that I wasn't going to be growing my Instagram channel. My focus was going to be YouTube. So then Instagram became a different type of tool for me so that I can hopefully deepen more of a behind the scenes, authentic kind of, here's my life to the people who already follow me. Fed says, I really strongly prefer to dress casually and use a small camera like the ZR when out filming in Spain. If I was dressing up like this guy, I would not get any good footage. Yeah. You need to be able to mingle if you're shooting a parade, for example, not that a faux cowboy getup would scare the wildlife. Yeah. You gotta dress the part for wherever you are. Let's see, what else does he say? They emphasize that people are interested in seeing the creators as human beings and the behind the scenes process, not just the final finished product. Yeah, exactly. Final polished product. Like I said, that's why I've gone into live streaming, because you guys literally see the behind the scenes. You don't just see the final product. You actually get to make it with me. Hopefully you guys found that fun when I was making that first episode of Mongolia and all that. Overthinking and the burden of perfection. Both creators admit to overthinking their content, carrying the burden of always producing the highest quality, most cinematic work. I do also have that issue of perfectionism, if that's a word. They realize that making thrown together content should be liberating rather than a source of confusion. Okay. Fed says you need to be able to mingle if you are shooting a parade, for example. Not that. Oh, sorry, I read that. BC gambling it away. Oh, almost at the 500K. Skull says, I have the tab open and am in and out with the audio while working. Is this a 10-minute video turning 1 hour, or is it a longer and we need a part 2 for tomorrow? I think this video in and of itself is already 32 minutes, and I'm only 7.5 minutes in. So, but me reading this summary is me basically saying I'm not going to watch the rest of this, because I think I've gotten as much as I can from this video in terms of the visuals and like listening to it live or whatever. Like I got some interesting things to think about in terms of podcast setup and everything else. Now I'm just I'm curious, what do they say is their, what is their solution? So because I agree with them in terms of the current state of the landscape. So what is their prescription to changing it? And from the bit I'm reading in the AI summary, it looks like we're in agreement. It's about being more authentic, being less perfectionist, showing more behind the scenes, more raw content. So now he's saying, Fed says, you don't want to look like that. You'll be the main attraction for regular folks out and about. Every street scene you shoot, everyone's looking straight at the camera. But the thing, well, the more tattoos I end up having on me, the more I do stick out. It is one of those things. Yeah. Also, depending where I travel, I do look very different from everyone else. So it's just like, you just got to embrace the fact that you stand out. I'll get, every once in a while, I get someone saying Jackie Chan or Bruce Lee. Jay suggests focusing on the lifestyle and brand rather than just the product. Similar to Red Bull or Coca-Cola. Peter McKinnon agrees that his Instagram could be more about friend Pete and his process. Yes. The anti-AI movement and raw content. They touch on the growing trend of raw, authentic content as a counter response to increasingly sophisticated AI-generated images. And then embracing change and showing the unpolished self. The video concludes with a strong emphasis on embracing change, showing the unpolished side of being an artist, and treating social media as a journal with our fans. Yo, well, listen. Not Jet Li, though. I might have gotten Jet Li before, actually. But he was always more of a niche. I think most people didn't know of him as much as like the Jackie Chan references. So if someone called out Jet Li to me, that would have like perked my ears for sure. Because I'd be like, wow, interesting. Why him? Jackie Chan was always the go-to. And then sprinkle in a few Bruce Lees. Tattoos are fine in big cities. Everyone has tattoos now, but maybe not in exotic places. Yeah. Yeah. I can't flash this in front of a lion, you know? They'd be like, who are you? Who is this guy? Okay, based on the summary of that video though, that is very promising. It's very encouraging to hear that their diagnosis of the situation as well as the prescription that they're talking through is much in line with what I've also thought, right? It's in line with my own hypothesis that I've been thinking about for a while now. That's why I've did the live streaming. That's why I went to this shift towards YouTube for the things that I do. That's why I've been spending so much of my time doing these talking head videos as well, which I'm not usually comfortable doing. It's all in the name of like sharing more of my unfiltered self. And it's also why I started the whole Behind the Lens series, where while it is still adding polish, it was more to try to show a bit more of my personality, my stories, in a way that doesn't feel very threatening, in a more informal type environment, like with that overhead shot, and with my cats involved. So all of it was in this kind of direction of trying to be less polished, more sharing behind the scenes and stuff like that. So in some ways, maybe I'm ahead of Peter McKinnon, you know? I knew this before he did. Obviously not, but whatever. Okay. And then Fed mentioned this channel called Michael Jameson. So I just wanted to quickly see, who is this Michael Jameson fella? Michael Jameson, I am Michael Jameson. I have more or less, that's a weird way to say it. I have more or less 110 animals, about 16 dogs, lots of cats and 2 tigers and a monkey daycare. My channel shows how it is possible for humans to coexist. Wow. Let's go with his most popular video. Oh, no, let's go with latest.
Okay, so the little ducks are in the cage with their mom. Just gave them some water. Yeah, there's a lot of mud in it. They love the mud. They swim in it. Fed them just now. Everybody is happy. But
oh man, this guy's like hit the jackpot. He's like, he doesn't even need to use any fancy cameras or anything, because he's got such a wild life that he just has to turn on any camera, and it's already so different from the everyday person's experience that people can tune in and enjoy.
Let's go and feed the tigers. Tigers have been waiting for their food for a few minutes now. Come on, let's go. Big Tamale's making power over there. Boy's coming clean. Oh, it sucked up a couple of things. I need to clear it. I'll clear it in a few seconds. Hey, Diego, you guys ready to eat?
Okay, Fed, you know a lot more obviously about this guy. Is he considered, does he do everything in like a humane way? I'm assuming he's big enough that if he wasn't doing it, I'm sure he would have been reported or something.
Yeah, let me get going.
If you shave your head, then it will be Jet Li. Yeah, maybe. His videos tend to be him doing daily chores like feeding the animals.
Ready?
So vlogs from his home.
You guys are hungry? Come on, let's go.
Oh my god. Having these little chihuahuas next to the tiger.
I've just always got this problem of having my hands full. I've always got something in my hands.
Yo, you think if I reach
carrying
out to him,
stuff
he would
around.
invite me
I could
over
really
so I can do
use
an
a
interview?
third arm. If there's just one thing that I could ask for, it would be another arm. I don't know where it's going to be, but actually I need two arms extra at least. I mean, look at this. Now I'm packing the chicken with my one hand. I could really use extra pair of arms, because this is what I look like every day.
See, it's like he's just using his iPhone or whatever. He's like the clear he's like the clear person that should be using one of these action cameras, right? Just clip it onto your hat and then you got both hands free.
Stuff. Hey, Tatas, how you doing? Hi, come on, Layla.
But I guess he might want to see what he's filming, I guess.
Okay, let's get them fed.
But when you got
You guys
tigers,
hungry? Come on, let's go, let's go, let's go.
dude, that's so
They don't want to
hilarious.
wait.
How are the dogs not afraid? That's so crazy. What the heck?
Hey, you guys must just wait a little faster, and then it'll happen earlier. Dainty, please, come on. Keep quiet. Dogs will always make a noise. It's just one of those things. Diego, you're gonna take this.
Oh,
Wow! That is magnificent. Enzo, show us. Oh no, I threw it high enough for him to jump, but he wouldn't just do that. Benny, please. It's not impressive. I promise you. It might
Dude, this
sound
guy's-
really, really impressive.
I like this
to
guy.
you. Diego, here comes the next one, Diego. Let's see. Whoa. It might sound really impressive to you, but believe me, we don't like it.
Fed says, I've never seen him treating the animals bad in any way, and he films all the time, but of course I can't know for sure. Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, it's on me to kind of do the research. I'm sure he shares it, but I imagine if you have a wild animal in captivity, there's got to be a real good reason why that's the case, right? So I'm assuming it must be some kind of rescue that can't be reintroduced into the wild. But then if these tigers are just living in his home or like in a backyard, yo, that would not be. It's like you imagine like a tiger in the wild. They roam the entire jungle, right? They got like a huge ass territory, and if their day to day is to wander the jungle, patrolling it, obviously hunting and all that. But then if they're confined to a tiny ass like backyard, obviously I'm saying this without knowing anything here, because we're only seeing this video where the tigers go to where he feeds them. For all I know, they got like a big ass reserve or something. The dogs have seen this since they were puppies, so they're used to the fence working. So they can act all tough. He bottle fed those tigers when they were cubs. Okay. But in the US, in some states, you can keep tigers as pets. I remember whatever that TV show was back in the COVID days, right? The Tiger King. Oh man, that thing was crazy. And like, to me, I just view those as, I don't know. I usually don't have very strong opinions about a lot of things. You can call it a vice, or not a vice. You can call it not a good character trait. I think you should stand on business, as the kids say, about certain things. I just don't have strong opinions oftentimes because I always realize there's a bit of nuance to everything. And so I'm curious. Like, without knowing the backstory, I'm not going to be quick to judge. But yeah, it is kind of wild to also think of having like a pet tiger. If you're not able to introduce it into the wild again, then I feel like the next best step is obviously give it a good life. But like, I feel like you need to give them space. Because like a big ass animal like that, just like being held up in a tiny confinement can't be, that's like torture for an animal like that. It's like killer whale or whatever, Shamu. It's like Shamu in that SeaWorld environment. Like, imagine a killer whale had the full ass ocean as its home to explore. And now you're in a kiddie pool, you know? Fed says, yeah, I don't know the rules in South Africa. I might research this after this now. Didn't Tyson have one? What were the conditions compared? Oh yeah, well, listen, Mike Tyson, he's a little bit of a crazy tiger himself, right? That dude is a bit psycho in my opinion. So it's like, I wouldn't put whatever he does in his life as the what's the word? he's not the pillar of what we should. He doesn't. He's not a. Yeah, he's not the pillar of what we should be ascribing. Trying to be. Live our lives towards or something. Fed says, by sanctuary animals, the ones saved as children, you can usually keep them in smaller enclosures, like the zoo. The tigers has more room than what you have seen until now. This is like the sleeping, feeding area. Yeah, I figure as much. We'll just keep watching and then.
Oh well, I guess he just wants to have fun as well.
Like I said, my assumption is that he must do this in a very humane way, or like in a conservation type of effort, because this guy's a big channel, 1 million plus subscribers, right? He can't be that big for however long, 9 years, all right? Because I think I saw his most popular video was like from 9 years ago. Someone would have been on his ass if he was doing something, inhumane.
So, there's nothing you can do about it. I want to.
Although, what the heck? As I say that, there's a big gash. There's a big scar on this tiger there.
So.
Right there. Maybe they fight with each other?
There's nothing you can do about it. I once heard someone make a comment and said he's never seen a tiger video without a dog barking in the background. And it's true. It is what it is. Someone who's got a tiger won't only have a tiger. I don't think that is even possible to only own a tiger. You will have to have started.
Yeah, this video is so
somewhere.
funny though.
And
Seeing a
that would
freaking
have
cat
probably
next to it.
been a dog or a cat. But it's all good. I mean, I've had Enzo for a long time and Diego, and I've had a lot of animals when I got them. So
Skull says agreed. Maybe these two have better conditions. I don't know. Yeah, we don't know. Like I said, I'm always one of those let's not jump to conclusions. Realistically, he's probably not doing anything inhumanely, or he's following the right ethical rules here because he's been around for a while. He's been changing it up too, I think. I seem to remember the tigers had the pool. Fed says, yeah, tigers fight like cats. There is the pool, yeah. Imagine he gets distracted and chucks a dog or cat over. Yo, Skull. Let's not imagine that. They're not super fat, so that's a good sign. Often they are really fat, yeah.
I don't think it's actually, I don't think it's possible to only have a tiger. You will have to start off with something else, and that will take you to a tiger. If it's meant to be, I guess. But yeah, what can I say? A lot of dogs, cats. They're all eating over here.
Oh man, the cats are eating good. Damn. Don't show this to my cats.
It's a Sunday, and yeah guys, we've got this amazing weather again. Okay, it's a little hot today. There's a slight breeze, but still this is...
Oh, Fed, I see what you're talking about from earlier. See, this is what you're saying, right? So he's got this like glass enclosure so he can film himself, and then the tigers are in the background. That is insane.
Breeze, but still this is the kind of weather you would want inside your house, and you can have it outside if you live at the zoo house. I don't know if there's another place in the world with perfect weather. Hey Diego, you guys get to enjoy it, eh? Eat your food, Diego. Are you going to give us a show? Are you going to give us a show? Just a quick show. Just a quick one.
Yo, tigers. I'm sure I'll change up my mind every once in a while, but tigers are like my favorite wild cat to photograph. Like they're just, to me, I don't know why they say that the lions are the king of the jungle. Like clearly tigers are. Tigers would destroy lions like in a fight, right? And I think tigers are just way more badass. They're more stealth. They're camouflage. They're, skulking through the jungle. And there's something about that just feels more like a badass ninja. And they're just more powerful. So I just don't, to me, I feel like if I could photograph tigers all the time, that would be awesome. But they're hard to find. It depends where you go. India is amazing for that. What is the tiger? There's a tiger in, not Russia. There's the Bengal tiger, and then there's like this other tiger that's even bigger than the Bengal tiger. What is the largest tiger species? Siberian, that's the one. Siberian tiger. I would love to photograph this. yeah, to me, like there's something about tigers that are so photogenic. Maybe photogenic, but also just like other, as far as like animals go, for all the cats, if I could just photograph tigers all the time, I would be so happy. They've got amazing patterns on their face. They look so fierce when they're doing their little snarl. Right? Like, look at that. That thing's crazy. That thing is like pure fury in the face. Fed says, good point. Don't get a tiger as a first pet. Yeah, great. I watch these videos for the advice. Fed says, looking at his house, he clearly can afford meat for his animals every day. Yeah, the thing is, like, I'm not knocking on the fact that he feeds his tigers properly. It's more just like the captivity, or like, I guess it's just about the space and just, yeah. Like if it's in their nature to be inside the jungle, to be exploring without fences, and then now to be in this kind of a space, like, you know, they're basically out in the open, right? They don't have the same kind of tree canopies like they would inside a forest or a jungle. So it's just like, it's just more of those things, like the comparison of where they should be and where they're most comfortable in their habitat versus here, right? Tigers are my favorite cat ever since I was a kid. Good selection. Yeah, tigers are just a badass. My mom knitted a tiger sweater for me when I was like 4. Tiger, I thought you meant like a tigger. Was that the name of the tiger in Winnie the Pooh? Frosted Flakes. That was my favorite cereal growing up, and that maybe in large part because it had a badass tiger. But cats aren't supposed to be in the houses either. A lot of people have fat indoor cats. Yeah, that's like in Dubai. Although I think they started to ban that. I think they might have already banned it.
They eat and they sleep and they play. Your usual tiger stuff that they do. Hey Enzo.
He got a big gash on his...
But yeah, I just told my mom this morning, yeah, well, now we are moving out of the summer, but we've got 6 months of great weather ahead. The most perfect weather that you can find. It won't be too hot.
Oh, you know what? I learned something...
It won't be too cold. It'll just be perfect.
I learned something, like a fun little wildlife fact. I don't think it's just tigers. It might be some of the other animals. But they were saying, like, the reason why you see these little white spots on the ears of the tiger, it's because when they go into a watering hole and they're drinking, this is to mimic eyes. So it's like a form of protection. So when they're most vulnerable, like with most animals, right? You're going to be vulnerable when you're going to the watering hole. So this is to fake as if they're staring, you know, and being on lookout, even though their eyes are pointing down to drink the water. So, or maybe it's also when they're eating. I'm not sure. But there was this thing, I don't know how true that is. I just remember reading that fact, or someone told it to me, where it's like, that's why you see these little white spots on the ears, is so that it looks like a pair of eyes that are on guard. So I was like, oh, okay.
Weather that you can find. It won't be too hot. It won't be too cold. It'll just be perfect. Sunny days, beautiful skies. And then we'll have winter for 2 months, and we will have the beautiful weather again. And maybe if we're lucky, the winter will even be better weather than the summer. I'm talking no closing windows in your house, even during winter. There will be 1 or 2 cold nights when water will freeze, means it went less than 4 degrees Celsius. But that's it.
Tony is the Frosty's tiger. Yeah, Tony the tiger.
So,
Jaguars are pretty badass too. Yeah, I need to photograph some jaguars in the Pantanal in Brazil. He's had them since they were small cubs, so it seems like he's treating them well since they're not fat and sickly. Even at the zoo, they often look worse than this. Yeah.
I'm gonna have to give them something else for about 10 days.
Yeah, it's just like the fact that he's public with this must mean that he knows he has to be way above board when it comes to taking care of these animals. Is my assumption. But, yeah.
Maybe. I'll just calculate exactly. Wow, Diego! Can we have some of that, Diego? Just a little bite. But I've already got it figured out what I'm going to be feeding.
Okay, let's see then. Let's see if there's a...
This is my life.
Let's see, does he have videos that shows the play area or how much space they've got? Ooh. Okay, so that's the pool, but this looks like the same area, no?
It's great. I can get him without him noticing. Eat, play, and be move. Food, and how happy they've been. Do. It's always want to eat. In a few minutes with your food.
Jesus.
My window, I love it. Chill with dog. Oh, it's gonna be long. Video quickly. I try to make a video every day, but I guess it's Layla. I don't think it's going to be possible. It is a problem to get it all done. I'm going to close the door so these dogs will stay in. You guys keep quiet. Enzo, are you guys ready to eat? So this is still some of the smaller chicken that I went to fetch when the food was.
Okay, so my assumption is he has like this full outer perimeter of his home. So my guess would be that the tigers can basically run a full circle around the house. Maybe? That can't be true, right? Because then how does he drive his car out of the house or something? Oh, no, it is possible. Okay, so my assumption is he must have like this kind of a, let's assume roughly the same depth as we see here with the pool and the playground set. And then the tiger, if they turn the corner to the right, they can go through a tunnel and then go to another big opening maybe where they can play or hang out. That's going to be my assumption without knowing much. If it's only this area, I don't know. Then I'm starting to feel a little bit on the edge of like it's slightly kind of depressing. Yo, we got Raiden Leap in the chat. Hello, thank you for being here. It's been a while. Welcome back to the stream, Raiden. We're just I was supposed to do some work today. We're not going to get to it. It's already almost 10:30. Fed says, yeah, tigers swim a lot in nature. Yeah, it is so cool to see. I only saw them. I didn't see them like swimming. Actually, no, I did see a bit of that. I just didn't photograph it. I got to see some tigers in the watering hole, like bathing, and it's really cool. But yeah, there's something to say for these having grown up here. It would feel worse in a way if it was grown up tigers from the wild than having to live here. Yeah.
And I had to go and get whatever I could. So
King says having a pet tiger is great. I wouldn't mind keeping a cheetah at the crib. Yeah. You can ride that cheetah. Who needs a scooter? Just hop on the cheetah. It's probably pricier to have these pets than to have a myriad of camera gear. Yeah. Listen, as a wildlife photographer and someone who, obviously enjoys, and I've been fortunate enough that I've seen more wildlife than most people can, which I'm grateful for. And I've had enough conversations or heard enough conversations from like safari guides or other tourists or other photographers. So I'm a little bit more inclined to feel nervous. I say nervous, but like a little bit hesitant to be like, is this appropriate kind of a thing? I have no idea. But it does feel like this dude takes care of his tigers well, obviously. Like, like you said, Fed, he's raised them since they were babies. So there's probably a big chance that they can't be reintroduced into the wild. Because either other tigers will destroy them, or just like they're gonna run into some issues if they're back in the wild. I'm assuming, without knowing much. So the best alternative is you got to raise them yourselves. So as long as you have the funds, if you have the space for it, then I guess that's the best option.
It didn't really take that.
Or a zoo, but I feel like zoos can be hit or miss, right?
But it is smaller than the others, but...
Fed says they don't know what the wild is, these two. Yeah, if you see this guy's house, you can definitely afford it. King says, yo, well, if you ever photograph a sloth bear, please be careful. They are 24/7 smoke makers. Yo, I did photograph a sloth bear. What is a smoke maker? They can't hunt, they would starve. Yeah. Yeah, I showed it on stream before, but I do have a picture of a sloth bear. From... where was it from? Sri Lanka. These tigers in the wild would go back to beast mode. Hunger will do that. No, I'm sure they would survive, maybe. Well, yeah, because they're like at the top of the food chain. But I'm saying like if you were... I'm assuming if you're a tiger that was born in captivity, or if you've never been in the wild, there's probably a lot of things around hunting that you were never properly taught. Like where they would have picked it up by watching their mother, doing the hunt. So they just wouldn't know, right? and so that might take some learnings. Some of it probably is instinctual, so they might just be able to know how to do it when in the moment. But then I guess maybe the concern could also be like, if they introduce the tigers back into the wild, they're not introducing tigers into an area that has no tigers. They're probably introducing the tiger to a place that has other tigers around. So then maybe the concern is that because of maybe their size or whatever other reasons, maybe they wouldn't survive against a wild tiger. So it's like introducing them would just mean that they die in the hands of a bigger, a wilder version of them. You learn to hunt by your parents. That's what keeps Yobel on the creative edge. Failure is not an option. Yeah, they threw me off the deep end. They would be killed if they don't starve first. Yeah. Hold on, let me see. Just because you asked, King Kruk, I do have a picture of a sloth bear somewhere. Where are you, sloth bear? Sloth bear would be from... I think I just missed it. I think it should be right around... Oh, there it was. Okay, I missed it. That's right. There you are. File could not be found. Let's just open it up in the normal. This is as good as we'll get quality-wise to show you guys, but yeah. That was a sloth bear. There you go. It was kind of cool. Because it was just after it was heavy rainfall, and so usually these guys are so elusive, it's very, very hard to spot. So I got lucky because of all the rain. This bear came out of hiding as all the bugs, insects, or whatever that it eats was coming out of the ground. So yeah, while this guy was feasting, I was shooting. King says to Fed, you can learn to hunt on your own and by watching some YouTube tutorials. Just put a couple iPads with hunt instructions. These tigers will be ready. Fed says there's a reason they don't introduce big cats who grew up in captivity to the wild. When they do, it's in special fenced, like a sanctuary nature. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like Fed, my assumption would be like the best case scenario for a rescued tiger would be to put them in a large private reserve, right? Like a private game reserve or sanctuary kind of a thing, where it's like a hybrid. It's not a zoo, right? But they do get to have their own, like they're roaming in like an actual forest, actual jungle or whatever. But it's a private area such that there is still kind of like a fencing eventually. I don't know. There's like different systems for that for sure. But that way you're like giving them the closest to feeling like they're not in captivity. They actually can roam around. They're in nature. They got all of the other typical things. They just got a little bit more of a boundary, a physical boundary. Another big issue is these tigers, while looking okay for big cats in captivity, they're not in any way good enough shape to live in the wild. Yeah, so I completely agree. It's like once you're in captivity, it's hard. Even so when I did the trip to Uganda for the rescue chimps, initially I thought, because they have 55 chimpanzees, right? So my initial misconception, I thought was like, okay, you're this island sanctuary where you rescue chimps from various situations. Some of them were born into captivity. Some of them were like circus chimps. Some of them were captured, or their mother died because of human conflict or things like that, and they're orphaned. So anyways, they all have different circumstances. And my assumption was that once the chimpanzees are in this sanctuary, eventually they will be released back into the wild. But the doctor said that the chances of that successfully happening are very, very slim. So generally speaking, the chances of reintroducing the chimp into the wild is a very low probability. So the moment the chimp is rescued and they're in the sanctuary, usually they're there for life. And so And that's why they have like 55 chimps now, because over time, as they've accepted more of these chimps from different circumstances, it wasn't that easy to reintroduce them. Occasionally it is possible, but usually not. So yeah, like once you're out of the wild, especially if you were never in the wild as a baby, it's just like you don't get to, in a dog-eat-dog world, you're basically being so handicapped in the wrong way that the chances are, yeah, it's like, you know, good luck to you. Sanctuaries are rare. Yeah. How does a lone chimp do in the wild? Will they be accepted by a tribe? Yeah. How much of us have we've all been watching little baby Punch, right? The little macaque monkey. We've all been watching him being, you know, not only disowned by its own mom, but by a bunch of others in that troop of monkeys or whatever. So if this little baby doesn't get accepted by fellow monkeys and it gets rejected by its own mom, yeah, a chimp on its own. And chimps are vicious, man. Chimps are like, another thing that people don't realize, chimpanzees will eat monkeys. Like they one of their favorite snacks is the red colobus monkey, apparently. Colobus monkey. So freaking chimps, man, they're kind of vicious. If they weren't such brutal, they're very human in that sense as well. Because I remember they were sharing some stories. Some people that I met, including the doctor when I was at the sanctuary. But like chimpanzees, they can show real moments of like caring, and just like they can show how beautiful they are as creatures, and you know, like in ways that we can resonate with them. But then they also show how much they're like humans, in that they will go to war with other chimpanzees. They will destroy you. They're so vicious, but they're also very smart. There's a lady that I met on a gorilla track, and she used to be the former director for that chimpanzee island, but she was sharing a story when she spent a lot of time with chimpanzees, where one time she was in the forest, and then two of the alphas basically got into a fight, and one of the alphas eventually dominated the other one, like bit the chimpanzee strong enough that it ripped open like a, you know, left a huge wound on the other chimp. So after the fight was over, she saw this chimp that just got destroyed. It was bleeding. The chimp was like frantically looking around the forest, and then eventually saw something, went over to it, and then grabbed the thing and started rubbing it into the wound. The chimp basically was smart enough to realize that this particular type of plant was a good salve to stop the bleeding. And I was like, when she told me that story, I was like, holy Christ. I mean, and you can see like chimps know how to, like, you know, they know how to use tools, right? They can. I have some video where you see one of the chimps grab a stick and they're using it to, like, you know, hit one of the other kids. I was like, damn. So they can be very smart. Fed says, rip them apart like zombies. That's unfortunate to keep these beautiful creatures in the dog pound. Yeah. They like to bite off their opponent's thumbs. They know how important the thumb is. Yeah. I don't know why I'm laughing at that. Anyways, so I'm sure this guy treats the tiger well and all that fun stuff. But it's kind of crazy living with tigers, huh? All right, I was meaning to do a lot more work today, which I didn't get through, obviously. One of the things I wanted to do, if you guys remember, I was making this earlier. I wanted to start putting the kind of a tech stack of all the gear that I need and what am I missing for me to properly run a live stream out in the wild. So I thought I would do that on one of these streams, including putting together all my gear list. However, it's already almost 10:30 and we didn't get to it. Damn you, Peter McKinnon. We got wrapped up in that. Not that I'm complaining, but... So, yeah, tomorrow I think I will then dedicate properly to getting the Mongolia video as finished as possible. All right, because it is now almost 10:30 and I'm ready. I'm ready to have a late dinner, and then go to sleep. Yeah, so then the other quick thing I think I can mention to you guys, just as a quick update as usual. Like I said, I should have, I think at this point, 5, maybe 6 trips that I will be going on starting mid-March. So one I can't really speak on just yet, but I'll be traveling for one film project. And then right after that, I think I'll be going possibly maybe Kenya for a workshop. And then after that, I have a photo group tour to Uganda. So that'll be a lot of like gorillas, chimpanzees, and shoebills and stuff. Then right after that, I think I'll be going to Tanzania for a few workshops there. And then right after that, I might be going to South Africa. So fingers crossed. Hopefully all of these are on board and everything's good to go. But in that situation, yeah, you guys are going to get awesome content out of it, right? The captures, the photos, videos that I'll capture, it'll all be things that I share with you guys. And at some point of that, I do hope to be able to live stream, like actually do my first kind of test of live stream, especially that trip to South Africa at the end, or even the trip to Tanzania. Tanzania, I guess, I don't think they're Starlink enabled yet. Kenya technically is, but I think I'm just there for like a couple days. And then, but when I'm in Kenya, maybe I could purchase a Starlink while I'm in Kenya so that I can then take it with me everywhere else. And then the South Africa trip, that one, Starlink is also not available. However, we know from the other live streamers that there are some private game reserves that you can use like a TVU or a LiveView kit and stream from there. So I think I have some connections there I need to reach out to. Potentially, I might be able to then rope in that South Africa trip to also test out live streaming at the private game reserve. In which case, man, then you guys will finally get to see in action. Hopefully it'll work out well. But, you know, these will be pilots that we continue to improve upon. And so then that means by May, June, July, August, September, basically in those months, I don't have any travels planned. And I'm hoping in that time, I would then start to do these safari trips and start live streaming, you know, like from wherever we are. Fed says, remember to dress up in the camera harness and 400mm for a late dinner date. Yeah, my kitchen. No, but I kind of think that'd be funny if I did do that with my buddies. We just grab drinks. Let's go to the bar, and then I show up in that thing. Oh my God, can you imagine? I wear the vest, but then instead of putting the camera on the attachment, I have like a beer. I have a beer holder. What if can you imagine you have a custom little beer holder there? So then it's like you take a sip and then you put it there and you keep talking. Blah, 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 blah. Drink. Oh, or you can even have a straw. So then it's just an easy access. Oh my God. My friends would be like, we can't be seen around you in public. But then they would also secretly be jealous that they didn't think about that. We definitely want to see the new live stream gear. Yes. As I build it up, I didn't mention this, but I think I'm also pulling the trigger on this 3D printing company who I reached out to and I told them all the specs. And it looks like we're going to start with the design phase probably tomorrow, assuming we all go forward with it. So they're going to help me design the actual travel kit, like the case. It'll be like a small Nanook 925 case. Actually, most likely this might be the case. Let me see. I think this size should be sufficient for holding the Rodecaster video and all the other components. So imagine it'd be like a case like this. Let's see if we can find a good image here. Yeah, so it'd be something like this. And so then they're going to have to design... There's enough good examples out there that should make it a bit easy to do. But, you know, it's still going to cost me an arm and a leg, right? But here I'll have like an aluminum base plate near the top of the bottom lid, or the bottom side. And then within there, we'll be able to have space to set the Rodecaster video, which will be my video and audio switcher. Then in the extra space here, I might have a recessed compartment so I can put like a portable SSD or a battery bank or like a battery charger just in case. And then having connection being able to connect into it there. Then on the top lid, it'll be like a small monitor plus like maybe some compartments or something I can hold other devices as needed. Like maybe there's like a wireless receiver I need to put there for like microphones or whatever else. The HDMI wireless receiver can fit there. And then I have to cut out some holes for ventilation, stuff like that. And so there's already good examples that almost do exactly what I needed to do. So we had seen earlier, there's the BSS Rodecaster Video Toman. So this is roughly what I was looking for the most part, but just with some things that are unnecessary and whatever else. But basically here you can see where you can attach the Rodecaster Video. Then in this empty space, ideally, this is where I would switch it up to have a more recessed compartment. Then instead of having a big ass monitor, I think it's like a 16-inch monitor, it'd be more like downsizing that and then using the empty space for some other things I might find more useful for my needs. And then having all the outside ports built into it, I would need 2 ventilation cutouts. So then there's like a filtered intake of air, and then there's a ventilation out of the case because the case will be closed for my needs most likely. And then I need some custom things to block all these ports. So when I'm in travel mode, you won't have all these exposed openings. So hopefully there'll be some kind of slide in, slide out compartment to block all of this when it's not in use. So there's a tiny little things like here and there that just makes it where it's like I do need some custom work. So yeah, that's one thing that hopefully should be something we have ready in the next couple weeks or so, however long it takes to design and then manufacture it. So then once we have this case, and then shout out to Cyronius over on the Twitch side, but I think he might be helping me to secure some of the other parts that are needed to stream when I'm out in the wild. Something called a Bella box, which lets you encode your video stream and audio stuff into some way that it can be broadcast properly for the stream. So he's helping me put together the kit for that, which is the cheaper version than if I go with like this very expensive couple $1,000 system. So yeah, once those things are done, or once those things are ready, I'm basically almost good to go. The only things then I need to purchase is maybe securing or loaning a few extra cameras from Nikon maybe. I would need some of those extra clamps and the articulating arms so that I can securely attach the camera to the Jeep. And then I need to purchase the Starlink. So once I'm able to purchase the Starlink, which I can't do from Dubai, so there's all these like logistical challenges, right? So I need to purchase it from a country that's available. All of that. Excuse me. So there's a lot of things that are just not fully ready yet, but we're almost there. We're almost there. So, and then if I do the pilot in South Africa, that would most likely be a situation where I don't even need the Starlink because it doesn't operate there anyways. And that could just be that Bella box system, or if I'm able to rent out this like Live View kit. The Live View Solo Pro. One of these guys. Which is expensive, right? So even this thing is $2,000, over $2,000. So, but we shall see. We're almost there. So then imagine throughout the entire summer, this is going to be my main goal, is to travel to capture these kinds of moments. And then your boy is going to be an official IRL live streamer. Hopefully I'll be one of those that goes viral all the time because you'll be like, yo, this creator named Yobel Prize got this, had this crazy encounter with an elephant charging the Jeep, and boom, 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 it's gonna look cool, and you guys will help share it to everyone, and then hopefully more people will watch this channel and then help us grow and make this a real thing sustainably. A lot of hopefullys in there, by the way, but I believe in myself enough that I'm willing to commit to as much as I've done so far, right? So yeah. Anyway, sorry. I went on tangents. King says, Yobel, shout out to you going full creative mode. Yes. You know what? Sometimes you just got to believe in yourself. I think I saw some random social media post about there is some truth to the whole concept of manifestation, or apparently there is some truth to like believing in something. What was it? You know what? It doesn't even matter. But there is something about that where it gave me hope that being optimistic is actually something not only just like a fool's errand, but it is actually a way to improve your life, as well as like being confident and imagining, manifesting like the future that you want can actually lead you towards that success. So I'm not saying it in a delusional sense. I actually truly believe that if all these moving pieces, I'm able to capture it all, and if we can properly do this, I actually am beyond confident that we can make this successful, because there's not many creators like me with the current situation that I'm in, where one, I'm based in Dubai, which makes it easy to travel to a lot of wildlife locations. Two, I have a good relationship with Nikon and I am myself a photographer. But then three, not just photography, but now having gone into videography and understanding more about it, not just like you said, Fed, a photographer dabbling in video, but now finally feeling like I understand cinematography, videography, and all that. Four, not just being a photographer or a videographer, but also a live streamer. So now understanding the intricacies and the difficulties and the culture that is live streaming and how to be successful at it, or even just be sustainable at it. So like, I feel like I have all these components. Five, I'm still young enough and my body hasn't broken down enough that I can continue doing this without hopefully having health conditions. Six, I don't have much dependencies beside my 2 cats. So I am still able to do this without getting into a divorce, because my wife would being like, I never see you, how dare you keep traveling? I don't have to worry about that, right? So yeah, that's 6 things already that kind of, I think, puts me into a position where yeah, if anyone were to pilot this concept of these wildlife IRL streams consistently, not just for a one-time vacation, I think I am there. I think I can do it. So yeah. Fed says, yeah, this is going to be cool. That foam means it can also double as egg box when at home. Yeah. Well, I think I would throw away all the egg stuff, or the foam thing, because, or it won't be useful on my trips because it would just like overheat, or yeah, it would not be useful because I would have the case closed in like very hot environments. So that I assume would lead to a lot of overheating. But I agree with you, King. The foam can double as memory foam pillow. Oof, I always need that. I said I was young enough, but I'm now old enough that if I sleep on the wrong side of the pillow, I can wake up with my neck with a sprain or whatever it is. King says, Fed, we need to get in contact with Nikon. Yes. Be a part of my crew, guys. We're going to do this. We're going to be successful at it. So, all right. Is there anything else I wanted to share for today? Like I said, I unfortunately did not get to the thing we were supposed to get to, which is our beautiful Mongolia video. But today was a fun stream, so no complaints. We're going to get through this. Let's see how far I get tomorrow on this one. And then, yeah, so tomorrow, let's reserve the beginning part of the stream where I do want to do a bit of research. And I want to start putting together my gear list to see what I'm missing, what I need to purchase, and all that first. Like I said, I got 4 or 5 trips maybe lined up, so let's make sure I'm not behind on that. And then we're going to get right into some video editing and crack through on this. Fed says you can use it on your wall for audio dampening. Oh, I actually already used that. I think, did I ever show you guys? But I have foam all over my 2 sides of my wall. So I have done the sound dampening. But you're right. I can always use more. So you don't get that McKinnon slapback echo on your upcoming podcast adventure. That's almost unacceptable that a guy like Peter McKinnon, you know what? What if he did that intentionally? Because that whole video, at least based on the AI summary at the end, was talking about how you shouldn't strive for perfection. You just got to push it out there. So who knows? Maybe it was intentionally done to show that they weren't trying to polish every little piece of this video. They just wanted to put it out there. The sooner the better to get you into that real-time mode. In which case, I apologize to Mr. McKinnon. And listen, that is my ambition. We're going to make this wildlife IRL streams so bumpin' and consistently have value. And we're going to make this podcast concept a thing that eventually Mr. McKinnon, I'll be able to invite him on a freaking safari where I'll interview him. And I'm sure he will agree to this. I'm sure. Because he's a guy that I assume is into adventurous things. And what is more adventurous than to be interviewed on a live safari. You know what I mean? I think he would get a kick out of that. So, and I will polish up my interviewing skills. You know, I'll make sure I won't let you guys down, right? We'll be entertaining, and we'll ask all the hard-hitting questions, and then we'll have better mics than Peter McKinnon is using. And then boom. McKinnon, Jared Polin. We'll go through all the big photographer guys. And then obviously it's not just photographers. I will reach out to anybody who wants to join me on a safari and then turn it into a podcast. Barack Hussein Obama, right? Mr. President, would you like to join me on a safari? You know, didn't they say he's from Kenya? Wasn't that the conspiracy? So I'll be like, hey, would you like to go to your, okay. Anyways. Yeah, McKinnon will never turn down the room mic anymore to seem more down to earth. Yeah, it's all about being real, man. All for Instagram. Yes. Okay. Isn't he half Kenyan? I have no idea. I just know there's all these like conspiracies thrown around trying to make him like, you know. Listen, American politics, not that I get into it much. It's not usually a topic I want to get into on my like streams, just because it is very contentious, controversial and stuff. But yeah, I'm just not a fan of the direction that my country, or like social media in that sense, and like the spread of information leading to a lot of misinformation or things that could get misconstrued. I'm just not a fan, you know. But yeah, he all I know is he's pure American. Okay. Tanker second account says, yo, I'm in class, fool. I'm in math class. Well, you are being schooled. All right, because I'm about to end the stream. Tanker second account. What happened to your first account? That is the question we all want to know. But listen, Tanker second account. Thank you for hopping in the chat there. However, it is now almost 11 p.m. my time. I was just winding down towards the end of today's stream. I should be back tomorrow, roughly the same time, 7 p.m. my time, somewhere around there, I think. And we're going to continue doing what we've been doing here. All right. We got a lot of work to get done. The good Lord's work, or whatever you want to say. So thank you everyone for a wonderful stream. I'm now going to end it in 3. You're a good streamer, mate, says Tanker. Oh, you got me with that. I was just about to end the stream, but you throw in that kind of nice bait, those kind words that I will eat up. So I'll keep streaming just for a second to say thank you. Thank you for saying that, though. You're a good streamer, mate. I'm doing my best. I am trying. Hopefully, I'm a better podcast interviewer, right? Because that, like we said, that's where we want to be. It's 1:41 where I am. 1:41. Let me guess. I'm assuming you mean 1:41 p.m. So does that mean you're based in Europe? No. Does that mean you're based in the Atlantic Ocean somewhere? Maybe you're based in Greenland. Are you based in like, yeah. You don't have to say where you're based, but I'm trying to get a gauge. Because right now it's 10:41 p.m. That means in New York, is it like oh no, you're in like East Coast. You must be like one. Oh, are you like in New York? But you know what? Doesn't matter. It's 7:41 p.m. here in Norway for Fed. London. Oh, I was so off. Oh, no. I said Greenland at some point. That's close enough. Well, thank you very much, Tanker. Like I said, I apologize though, because I am hopping off now. Your boy's got to sleep. But I'll show you my cats. Both my cats are here, I think. Yeah. Both my cats are just chilling with us today. So. Showing her ass. Come on, Nala. Entertain us, Nala. What do you got to say? Yeah. I gotta, you know what? I do need to set up my ASMR microphone again. Those are some good, I got some good purrs out of both my cats earlier as I've been making some of my YouTube videos. So, London in the UK is 1 hour difference from where I am. But he said it's 1:41 p.m. So now I'm confused. It doesn't matter. Tinker says it's okay. Keep up the good work. And hi, Kitty. Thank you guys. Yeah. All right, we're done. We'll see you tomorrow. Cheers, guys.